Chapter 174. The Saints of Light left dejectedly. Yao Qianshu couldn't help but spit on the ground. He looked up at Hioheim and said, "I'm sorry, Jidong." Jidong raised his hand to stop him. "They are them. You are you. We're still brothers." Yao Qianshu sighed. "I didn't expect them to be like this, befriending bandits by mistake." Jidong said indifferently, "After missing the holy evil battlefield, when we meet again, they are enemies and not friends. If it wasn't for the fact that their deaths would tilt the holy evil heaven, I wouldn't have let them go today. People like them don't deserve to control ultimate magic." Fury patted Jidong's shoulder. "All right, junior brother, don't let those lowly people ruin our victory mood." As he spoke, Jidong turned around and faced Fury. He looked at Fury and Yi Xan, who was in his arms. A smile appeared on Jidong's cold face as he said, "Senior brother, congratulations." Fury laughed and said, "You'll have a sister-in-law in the future." "Junior brother, thank you. If you hadn't enlightened me back then, I might not have understood. Brothers of Yin Yang Hall, if Fury has offended you in any way, I apologize here. We'll still be good brothers in the future. Although I'm no longer in the Yin Yang Hall, if something happens to the Heavenly STEM Academy, I definitely won't stand idly by." Ji Yeshang appeared out of nowhere and chuckled. "Boss, who said you're no longer in Yin Yang Hall? The position of first seat has always been yours. No one has ever taken it. This time, you even want to take away the second-ranked senior sister Yi Xin. We won't agree. Come back. Yin Yang Hall needs you. Without the Thunder Emperor, is it still Yin Yang Hall?" "Yes, boss, come back. You will always be our first seat." The one who spoke was the third-ranked heavenly scholar of Yin Yang Hall, Yi Piaoling, who had just broken through to the sixth crown. He was one of the more taciturn disciples in Yin Yang Hall and usually didn't show himself. However, he was stronger than Long Tian and Shui Ruhan. Although the three of them had similar magic levels, Xiao Yu's overall strength was superior and he was very popular in Yin Yang Hall. At Yi Piaoling's call, all the disciples spoke at the same time. Fury looked at the crowd, clearly excited. He had cultivated in Yin Yang Hall for many years and had deep feelings for the Heavenly STEM Academy. He couldn't help but find it difficult to choose. Yi Xin lifted her head from Shi Rui's embrace. At this moment, the tears on her face had already been wiped away, but her eyes were still a little swollen. Her pretty face was flushed with satisfaction, which made her look even more beautiful. Her gaze landed on Jidong, and she said, "Jidong, you should come back too." Yi Xin had always been a smart woman. Of course, she knew that Jidong was the key to Fury's return to Yin Yang School. Jidong shook his head and said, "Sister-in-law, I'm sorry. I don't plan on returning to the Heavenly STEM Academy. After this battle, I plan to travel around the continent and take a good look at our world. I'll accumulate more knowledge and improve my cultivation. However, senior brother, please promise all the seniors that the Heavenly STEM Academy really needs you. Grandmaster and teacher won't blame you. With you at the Yin Yang Hall, the Heavenly STEM Academy will truly be the #1 academy on the continent. Just like this divine weapon, only you can unleash its full power." As he spoke, Jidong took 2 steps forward and handed over the small axe in his hand. Fury didn't take it. Hioheim shook her head and said, "Junior brother, you were the one who killed the Thistle Lightning Fire Dragon. Without your ultimate skill, none of us could do anything to it. This divine weapon should belong to you. Although your attributes aren't compatible with it, it's still a divine weapon. If there's a chance in the future, you can use it to exchange for a divine weapon that suits you." Everyone could see how powerful this axe was. A true divine weapon was a priceless treasure. How could Fury just take it? Before Jidong could speak, he turned to Yi Xin in his arms and said, "Everyone wants me to go back. What about you?" Yi Xion's heart was filled with sweetness when she saw how concerned Fury was about her in front of everyone. She lowered her head and said, "If you want to come back, then come back. If you don't, I'll go with you. Wherever you go, I'll go." Fury laughed and said, "Junior, see? I've already obtained something more important than a divine weapon. Why would I still need this axe?" Jidong said helplessly, "Senior, there's nothing left of the Thistle Lightning Fire Dragon. There are only two things that are valuable, the crystal core and this axe. I don't plan on giving you the crystal core since it's very beneficial for my cultivation. If you insist on giving me this axe, wouldn't it be a crime for an ordinary man to have a jade ring? You've also contributed greatly to killing the thistle lightning fire dragon. How about this? You take it first. With it, your strength will increase greatly. If a suitable divine weapon appears in the future, you can just help me snatch it. That should be fine, right? Senior, if you continue to refuse, then you're not the Thunder Emperor I know. Yi Xian nodded and said, Junior Ji Dong is right. You can only help him obtain the divine weapon more easily if you become stronger. Apart from you, who else can use this divine weapon? Fury had always been an open-minded person, so he no longer refused. He let go of Yi Xian and walked up to Ji Dong with a single step. He raised his hands and received the axe carefully. He said, Junior, thank. Strangely enough, the axe that did not react at all in Ji Dong's hands underwent an earth-shattering change as soon as it landed in Fury's hands. Before he could finish his sentence, he had no choice but to stop and use his full strength. A dazzling purplish-blue radiance suddenly burst out, instantly spreading from Fury's hands to his entire body. Arcs of purplish-blue electric snakes revolved around Fury's body, constantly emitting crackling sounds. The frightening mana fluctuations caused the surrounding people to retreat rapidly. Lightning, Fury roared and leaped into the air. The purple thunder heavenly dragon spread its wings and caught him. A man and a dragon floated in midair. In the blink of an eye, the lightning on the axe had spread to the purple thunder heavenly dragon. The man and the dragon seemed to have become the embodiment of lightning. Ear-piercing crackling sounds, thunderclaps, and rolling thunder continuously reverberated in the air. Fury raised his head to the sky and let out a furious roar. The sturdy armor on his body, which was originally of the element of lightning, was actually unable to withstand the bombardment of this tremendous amount of lightning. Cracks began to appear on the armor, and Fury's body actually began to swell. His muscles expanded to the extreme, and with a boom, the armor on his body completely shattered, turning into fragments that scattered in all directions. Not only him, but the purple thunder heavenly dragon he was riding was also stimulated by the lightning. Its dragon scales and muscles were swelling violently. As Fury's cultivation increased, the purple thunder heavenly dragon's strength had reached the pinnacle of the 8 realms. Its body was 22 meters long, and when it spread its wings, it was also a terrifying and powerful magical beast. At this moment, the 3-meter-long lightning symbol on its chest had completely lit up, and its bones kept cracking. Its scales expanded, and its muscles bulged. The ring of bluish-purple spikes on its neck became even more ferocious. In the blink of an eye, its entire body had grown to more than 25 meters long, doubling in size. Ji Yesang murmured, My God, the thorny fire dragon has grown several times larger after eating this axe. Senior Brother Fury won't become a giant, will he? Don't talk nonsense, Yi Xian shouted, but the worry in her eyes could be seen. The bluish-purple lightning gradually turned into a pure purple. The color of the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, and Fury's bodies also changed at the same time. The purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon's body changed the most. Its originally majestic body expanded to a length of 30 meters before stopping. The scales on its body were several times thicker than before, and its terrifying aura was intimidating. The lightning symbol on its chest also expanded to more than 5 meters. Its huge body gave off an unparalleled feeling of power, like the combination of strength and beauty. Sister-in-law, don't worry. If I'm not wrong, thunder should have evolved, which is why it has changed so much. After all, senior brother, and it didn't eat that divine artifact. Thunder was already at the peak of the 8th realm, and it's a powerful, mutated dragon. After being stimulated by the aura of the divine artifact, it evolved, so it's normal for its body to change so much. Ji Dong had a good understanding of Fury's strength. Yi Xian relaxed a little with his comforting words. Ji Dong's gaze never left Fury, but he sighed inwardly. It was a pity that the set of magical weapons forged by his brother, Zhu Yin, had been destroyed by this sudden change, apart from the thunder axe. The swollen muscles on Fury's body began to slowly recover, and his short hair turned a translucent purple, looking like purple steel needles that stood erect on his head. With a crisp clang, the thunder axe, the only remaining piece of Fury's equipment, shattered into pieces. At that moment, he only had the small axe left. Yi Piaoling mumbled, "Divine artifact. It really is a divine artifact. This should be the reaction of the divine artifact rejecting all the equipment on its owner that isn't a divine artifact. Such destructive power. Without a doubt, this should be an attack-type divine artifact." Before he finished speaking, the small axe in Fury's hand had already changed. All the purple light in the surroundings retracted at the same time, completely withdrawing into the axe. Afterwards, a blinding purple light shot out from the axe, directly shining between Fury's eyebrows. Then, a crack appeared in the middle of Fury's forehead, as if it had been split open. The small axe turned into a bolt of lightning and shot out. Boom! The air exploded violently, and Fury shouted, "Thunder, divine axe!" In the next moment, he had already fainted on the back of the purple thunder heavenly dragon. Fury, as the saying went. Concern leads to confusion. Seeing that Fury had fainted, Yi Xian almost pounced over without hesitation, but she was caught by Ji Dong, who reacted quickly. "Sister-in-law, don't panic. This should be the result of the divine artifact acknowledging senior brother. It should be fusing with senior brother's body. I heard Big Brother say that a true divine artifact must completely fuse with its owner. After the fusion, no one else can use it. Only the master of the divine artifact can unleash its full power. This is a good thing for senior brother." The purple thunder heavenly dragon let out a deafening roar. Blinding purple light rolled up from its body, completely enveloping both it and Fury. Streaks of deep purple lightning circled around the periphery. In the sky, Fury and the purple thunder heavenly dragon could no longer be seen. There was only a huge purple lightning ball with a diameter of over 30 meters floating in the sky. With Ji Dong's reminder, Yi Xian quickly calmed down. Fury was not here. In terms of strength, he might not be the strongest because there were still powerhouses from the Heavenly Stems Legion. However, she was the second seat of the Yinyang Hall after all. She had a high status and was also Fury's woman, so it was understandable for her to give orders. "Everyone, get into formation in the valley and rest. The top 10 disciples of the Yinyang Hall will protect Fury with me." Nobody expected that Fury and the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon would remain in this state for 18 days after being enveloped by the lightning ball. It had been more than 30 days since they entered the sacred evil battlefield. Even though the Radiant Five Elements mainland had obtained victory in the battle and had obtained enough spoils of war, and their own injuries had been minimized, Fury was still in a deep sleep. No one knew when he would wake up, which made everyone worried, because nobody knew what would happen if he did not wake up after 49 days. Yi Xian frowned as she sat under the lightning ball every day, silently praying for Fury in her heart. Even Ji Dong began to worry. Ji Dong's demonic energy had long recovered. During the battle, his strength had been acknowledged by everyone. Whether it was the disciples of the Yinyang Hall, the Heavenly Stem Academy, or the powerhouses from the Heavenly Stems Legion, they all respected Ji Dong very much. Strength was definitely one of the easiest conditions to gain recognition. Fury had been fusing with the Hell Thunder Divine Axe for as long as 18 days, but he still hadn't woken up. No one dared to disturb him. Ji Dong secretly calculated in his heart. If the holy and evil heavens polearm really appeared and the battle between the holy and evil ended, what should he do? At this moment, a voice suddenly came from behind. "Ji Dong, can we have a chat?" When Ji Dong turned around, he saw that it was Ji Yeshang. He was now ranked 9th in the Yinyang Hall. Ji Yeshang walked to Ji Dong's side and looked at him with a complicated expression. "I really didn't expect you to be my younger brother." Ji Dong frowned. "What did you say?" Ji Yeshang sighed. "I said that you're my younger brother, Ji Dong. Blood is thicker than water. Even if you don't want to admit it, this is a fact that cannot be changed. After all, the blood of the Ji family flows in your body. Chapter 175. Ji Dong stared at Ji Yeshang. Are you here to persuade me? Ji Yeshang shook his head. I know you've suffered a lot since you were young. Everything you have today is all thanks to your own hard work. However, I also hope that you can listen to my explanation, the truth of the matter. Perhaps you'll have a different opinion. If you're willing to listen, I'll continue. If not, I'll turn around and leave. After a year, Ji Yeshang seemed to have changed into a different person. He was no longer as frivolous as before. Instead, he had gained the steadiness of the earth element. Ji Dong looked up at the giant ball of lightning formed by fury and the purple thunder heavenly dragon. Speak. Ji Yeshang sighed. In the Middle Earth Empire, there are many branches of the royal family. The noblest is naturally the direct bloodline of the royal family. Generations of emperors are born from them. Next is the bloodline of our king of equality. In fact, judging from our ancestors, we are also of the direct bloodline of the royal family. However, because our bloodline of the king of equality is blessed by the heavens, we gradually became independent. Almost every direct descendant of the king of equality has at least 90% of the earth element or earth element. Some especially outstanding disciples can even reach 90% of the earth element or earth element. Thus, our bloodline of the king of equality has always produced experts and protected the empire. Thus, we are also known as the Prince Protector of the empire. In the past 1,000 years, our king of equality has produced 5 supreme experts. You've seen Ancestor Shin before. Even our grandfather is an 8-crown cultivator. Ji Dong didn't make sound. He only listened quietly to Ji Dong's unhurried narration. His voice was very infectious. It was as if Ji Dong's thoughts had already arrived at a vast and lofty family. Perhaps it's precisely because our king of equality's family has produced so many talents that the heavens are jealous of them. As a result, our bloodline isn't flourishing. In every generation, it's already good enough to have 2 or 3 direct male descendants. In fact, it's often only a single descendant. Fortunately, our bloodline has continued and hasn't been severed. In our father's generation, it's still a single descendant, and he only has 2 children. One is me, and the other is you. Even I only learned of your existence after that incident. Ji Yifeng's death has undoubtedly severed the bloodline of the royal family. This is also why the royal family made such a big fuss and even thought of killing you at all costs. They didn't care even if they offended a supreme martial artist expert. It was only when they knew that you were one of our King Pingding's people that the royal family really quietened down and didn't dare to act rashly. They may not care about the supreme martial artist expert, but they definitely wouldn't dare to ignore our King Pingding's family. With the power of our family, even if there's a change of dynasty, it is actually not impossible. With our family's power, even a change of dynasty is not impossible. At this point, Ji Yeshang's face clearly revealed a proud expression. He was proud of the king of equality's family. Ever since I was young, I've always been regarded by the people around me as the only son of the king of equality, the only heir to the king of equality's throne. That's why I've received so much attention. Perhaps, when you first met me, you must have thought of me as a frivolous playboy. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I've always been the most obedient and level-headed child in the family. Even a picky elder like my grandfather would find it hard to find a single flaw in me. In order to gain the approval of all the elders, I've given up my entire childhood. No matter how you live, you can still live for yourself, but I can't. Everything I have is for the benefit of the family. I don't dare to slack off for a single minute every day because I'm the only heir to the king of equality's throne. I bear too much pressure on my shoulders. From the age of 7, the first time I thought of suicide, all the way until I'm 24 this year. The thought of suicide has crossed my mind 123 times, but I still don't have the courage to take that step. Although Ji Yeshang's tone was calm, his words were undoubtedly shocking. Ji Dong had originally thought that Ji Yeshang would directly tell him about his past and try to convince him, but Ji Yeshang didn't do that. Instead, he spoke from his own point of view. Ji Dong could completely imagine the helplessness and boredom of living in such an environment and thinking of suicide more than 100 times. After letting out a long breath, Ji Yeshang continued, "When I was 20, I officially became an adult. The restrictions on my body were finally lifted, and my grandfather allowed me to choose a profession that I liked to cultivate my mind. It was also then that my life started to have some fun. I chose to become a bartender. In my heart, bartending was more sacred than cultivation, and it was also something that could truly make me feel happy. Perhaps I was suppressed too much in the family, and when I went outside, my rebellious mentality twisted my personality. When I first met you, when I heard that you three teenagers didn't care about bartending, do you know how angry I was? If it wasn't for the fact that you were just kids, I would have attacked you directly. However, everything that happened after that made me extremely shocked. That was the first time I saw a person who could truly display the art of bartending. Even Boss Fury's bartending required magic to enhance the characteristics and taste of the wine. However, you were different. Your bartending completely relied on your techniques and some other things that I couldn't explain, but it gave people a strong shock and visual impact. I was fortunate enough to taste a small cup of the wine that you made, and that taste was something that I would never be able to remember for the rest of my life. I'm afraid that I will never be able to reach that level. After that, I realized how ridiculously wrong I was, and that there was such a huge gap between us. As a result, when you entered the Heavenly STEM Academy, I really wanted to become your disciple and learn the art of bartending from you. As for that incident, I sincerely apologize to you once again." As he spoke, he gestured for Hyoheim to bow. Ji Dong raised his left hand and grabbed Ji Dong's shoulder, shaking his head. "I can understand your pain. You were born in such a prestigious family, and you're the only son. You've endured a lot, and I've long forgotten what happened. Bartending itself is an art, not just an art. If you really want to become accomplished in bartending, then please remember, only when you can pour your emotions into it without reservation can you truly understand the mysteries of bartending. Wine is like an emotion, and different wines display different emotions. The gentleness of red wine, the violence of hard liquor, the mellowness of brandy, and the profoundness of fruit. Every wine has its own emotion, and when you can completely understand it and integrate your emotions with it, then you'll have what it takes to become an outstanding bartender. Skills can be improved through practice, but what you need is comprehension. You need to be by the side of the wine every day and feel its emotions. Only then can you make real progress and make the wine you make display its unique soul." When it came to bartending, Ji Dong's eyes unconsciously lit up. "This is all I can teach you. This is also the most important core of my bartending career. As for how you can use it and how much you can use it, it all depends on how much effort you put into it and how much comprehension you have." Ji Yeshang listened carefully to Ji Dong's words, his eyes filled with contemplation and yearning. To understand the emotions of the wine, to integrate your own emotions. "Ji Dong, if I didn't know your age, I'm afraid I'd think you're already over 50. Perhaps you really are a peerless genius in bartending. Everything you've said is something I'll be satisfied with in my lifetime." Ji Dong said, "Since life in the King Pingding's family is so dull and boring, have you never thought about rebelling?" "Rebelling?" Ji Yeshang smiled bitterly and shook his head. "No, I can't. When I was 7, Grandpa taught me one word: responsibility. This is my responsibility. My father has already hurt Grandpa enough, so how could I do that again? My father is also an only son, and he received the same education as me. However, everyone has a rebellious mentality. Because I learned how to bartend, I managed to alleviate my own emotions, but my father wasn't as lucky as me. One day, when he couldn't take it anymore, he finally couldn't bear the enormous pressure and fled the manor. Grandpa was furious and sent experts from the manor to pursue him. However, my father was also a genius. He was too familiar with the people in the manor and used all sorts of methods to successfully leave the country and go to the Southern Fire Empire. He lived a quiet and secluded life. Before he escaped the prince's mansion, my mother had me. In a sense, our father was an irresponsible man. Father was the only successor to the Prince of Equality. grandfather issued a death order. Relying on the power of the family and even the power of the entire Central Plains Empire, we finally found Father, who was living in seclusion 5 years later. While living in seclusion, Father married a commoner woman. According to him, he was living a comfortable life. That period was the happiest period of his life. According to the family guards of the prince's mansion, they saw that the woman was not beautiful. Compared to my mother, she was like heaven and earth. She was just an ordinary commoner woman. However, when he was with her, Father's face was filled with happiness. No matter how the family guards tried to persuade him, Father insisted on not following them back to the family clan. Due to grandfather's death order, the family guards had no choice but to take action. They tried to use force to suppress Father and bring him back by force. Although Father was powerful, he couldn't withstand the siege of so many people. Just when he was in imminent danger, that commoner woman suddenly stood in front of him and blocked a sword that originally had no killing intent. She died in Father's arms. The family guard said that when the girl died, she had a faint smile on her face. She was very tranquil and didn't seem to fear death at all. But my father was stunned. He watched as the girl slowly collapsed in his arms. His expression suddenly calmed down, and he said to the family guards, "I'll go back with you, but please wait for me for 2 minutes." As he spoke, he carried the girl's gradually stiffening body back to the room. The family guards saw my father's beloved girl die and didn't dare to force him. They could only wait quietly outside the room. But after a long time, there was still no movement. When they sensed that something was wrong and rushed into the room, they only saw 2 corpses. At this point, Ji Yesang was sobbing uncontrollably. "You should have guessed that the girl was your mother. The sword that pierced through your mother's chest also pierced through my father's chest." My father hugged her tightly, and their bodies did not separate for even a moment until the moment of their burial. When my father died, there was only gentleness on his face. Silence. Ji Dong and Ji Yesang both fell silent. At some point, Ji Dong's face was covered in tears. He murmured, "Perhaps to your mother, he wasn't a responsible man, but he was a brave man. He died with his true love. Perhaps this was the final destination he wanted." Ji Yesing nodded gently. "Before he died, my father left a few words on the bed in blood. That's right. Even in death, I will never let my child become a caged bird again." My father's heavily injured magical beast companion, the earth-breaking lizard dragon, disappeared. Now that I think about it, my father must have asked it to take you away from that place. Who would have thought that you didn't inherit my father's earth-breaking magical power, but your mother's yin-yang fire element? The family warriors did their best to find your whereabouts, but no one knew what you looked like. In the end, all they found was the earth-breaking lizard dragon's corpse. It was only when Huang Liming took the jade tablet from your neck, the jade tablet, that we knew that you really existed and that you were still alive. After a pause, Ji Yesang stood in front of Ji Dong and grabbed her by the shoulders. "Ji Dong, after saying so much, I just want to tell you one thing. Your father and mother never abandoned you. Before they died, they were afraid that you would be trapped in a cage, so they let you go. The one your father really abandoned was me. Can you tell me who was right and who was wrong? Did Grandpa have a choice? For the glory of the king equivalent family, as the only heir, did he really have any other choice? Perhaps you hate Grandpa because of what happened to Father, but as children, what right do we have to hate our elders? A tragedy doesn't necessarily mean that someone made a mistake. Father pursued freedom, and Grandpa pursued the glory of the family. Who was right and who was wrong?" Chapter 176. Ji Yesang looked at Ji Dong and said, "Little brother, did you know? After receiving the news of my father's death, my grandfather locked himself in his room for 7 whole days. When he walked out his room, he set down 2 rules. The first was that the successor of the family had to live in the same room as the patriarch. The second was that the successor of the family could choose a secondary profession that they liked after reaching the age of 20. From then on, before I turned 20, besides studying in the Yin-Yang Hall, I had never left my grandfather's side. Even when I had just arrived at the Yin-Yang Hall, my grandfather had accompanied me to class every day. Although my grandfather never said it, I could deeply feel his love for me. In other words, he had poured all of his love for my father and me into me alone. How could I disappoint him? Grandfather really couldn't take another blow. I'm not begging you to return to the family. I just hope that you really won't blame grandfather, all right? Ji Dong shook his head. I don't want to blame anyone right now. I just feel sad. He wasn't sad for himself, but for Ji Dong and Ji Dong's parents before he came to this world. Ji Yesang was right. It was hard to say who was right and who was wrong. What could he do? He only knew that the old Ji Dong was the real victim. Shrugging off Ji Yeshang's hand, Ji Dong sighed and said, "Go back and tell him that I don't hate him and I don't want to hate anyone. But at the same time, I won't go back. That place isn't my home." Ji Yesang was silent for a while, then said, "I understand. I'll tell grandfather exactly what you said. Ji Dong, what do you plan to do in the future?" Ji Dong said, "After the battle of holy and evil, I might travel around the continent." Ji Yeshu nodded and said, "Ji Dong, the last time you killed Ji Yifeng, it could be said that the entire Central Earth Empire was in chaos. Although it was suppressed by the two Supreme Being experts and the influence of your identity as a descendant of the King of Equality, the Central Earth Empire has now changed greatly. The direct bloodline of the royal family has been severed because of Ji Yifeng's death. Under the mediation of Ancestor Xian, grandfather agreed to let me be adopted by a direct descendant, but there is no one to inherit the throne of the King of Equality." Ji Dong said with some surprise, "So you are the new crown prince of the Central Plains Empire? Will the Middle-earth Empire allow you to enter this sacred evil battlefield?" Ji Yesing puffed out his chest and said, "This is my ambition. How can I be considered a true demon master without entering the holy evil battlefield? This is also the only requirement for me to be adopted by a direct descendant. If one day you are tired, then go home. Your father and mother have been buried together. Grandfather did not separate them. Even if you just want to pay your respects to them, it will be fine. I will go." Ji Dong nodded. For the sake of the previous owner of this body, he would definitely go. Although he had no interest in the King of Equality's family, paying his respects to the parents of the original owner of this body was something that he had to do. It could be considered as settling a karma. Suddenly, a huge pressure came from the sky, causing Ji Dong and Ji Yesang to raise their heads at the same time. They saw the huge ball of lightning in the sky suddenly release tens of thousands of rays of light, and the huge body of the purple thunder heavenly dragon once again appeared in front of everyone. The huge body was 30 meters long, and the aura of a powerful expert was released. The terrifying draconic aura caused the mountains to tremble. Purple lightning flowed, faintly resonating with the world of myriad lightning calamity in the sky. Without a doubt, the purple thunder heavenly dragon had truly risen to the 9th level, and its magic had undergone an earth-shattering change. It was as if it was condensed from the purest lightning. Fury also appeared. When everyone saw him, the first thing they saw was his gaze. A purple gaze that was like cold lightning pierced through the sky, and on his forehead, there was an extra eye that flickered with demonic purple light. Under his bronze-colored skin, purple light flowed. At this moment, Fury was like the god of thunder who had descended to the mortal world. The originally white sun crown on his head had now turned purple, and the yin and yang attributes could no longer be seen. 7 crowns and 2 stars showed that his magic had risen to the 74th level in a short period of time. His entire body and the purple thunder heavenly dragon below him had become one, and the huge pressure release from his body had even surpassed Zhurong's. Among the experts that Ji Dong had seen, it seemed that only supreme experts could completely surpass him. It seemed like only a 2-level increase, but there was no doubt that Fury's strength had taken a qualitative leap. Others might not understand, but Ji Dong understood. The yin-yang crown had changed to the same color as his own mana, which represented the pinnacle of mana. That's right, Fury's own yang lightning mana had also evolved into the pinnacle of yang lightning when the divine artifact Thunder Divine Axe fused with him. The evolution of ordinary mana to the pinnacle of mana had made Fury one of the true powerhouses in the world. This is extreme yang thunder? Yao Qianshu came to Ji Dong's side and asked in a doubtful tone. Although his injuries had healed these days, he seemed very depressed. He had always been a member of the Heavenly Stem Holy Disciples. Choosing to leave the Holy Disciples was a big blow to him. A person's faith had been subverted, which was a very uncomfortable feeling. Ji Dong didn't try to persuade him. This kind of thing could only be understood after thinking it through himself, but he accompanied Yao Qianshu to cultivate every day. This was also why Ji Yesang had waited until today to tell him about his past. Ji Dong nodded and said, "That should be right. Seeing your brother's magic itself is a mutated existence. Its power is above the ordinary magic of the 10 elements. It's very likely that it's mutated again and evolved after being stimulated by the divine artifact." Yao Qianshu was a little dumbfounded. It seems that my understanding of this generation of Heavenly Stem Holy Disciples has been completely overturned. "What's going on?" Ji Dong said indifferently. "You still can't get over it? Heavenly Stem Holy Disciples is just an empty title. Extreme magic doesn't mean everything. Ao Phone and the others may have extreme magic, but they don't have the awareness of being a holy disciple. For these people to be called Heavenly Stem Holy Disciples, it's not you or me who should have our magic recovered. It's them." Yao Qianshu's eyes flashed with determination. "Ji Dong, after this battle, I've decided to go find Tianji. Do you want to come with me?" Thinking back to Tianji's prophecy, Ji Dong shook his head and said, "No, I have my own matters to deal with." At this moment, an earth-shattering roar rang out in the sky, accompanied by the distant roar of a dragon. The light receded and the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon spread its wings, soaring down. Even though it no longer had its dazzling colors, the pure scales on its body showed that this dragon had undergone a qualitative leap in all aspects. Even Ji Dong was a little envious of the Thunder Emperor. Even though he had Hua as a companion, Hua wasn't suitable as a mount. He was still quite a distance away from reaching 6 crowns. But would he be able to find a suitable magical beast companion to be his mount once he reached 6 crowns? Ha ha! Hearty laughter rang out from Wei Rui's mouth as he leapt off the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon's broad back. At this moment, his entire aura seemed even more solemn than before, and his already majestic body seemed even more imposing. Both his hair and eyes had become a mysterious, deep purple. Aside from Ji Dong and Yao Qianshu, no one else dared to look him in the eye, especially the extra eye on his forehead. Even though it was closed, it still gave off a terrifying pressure. Xin flew towards Fury like a swallow, throwing itself into his arms. Before she could speak, Fury had already pulled her into his embrace and said, "I've made you worry." Xin looked at him in surprise. In the past, the Thunder Emperor would never say such heartwarming words. Fury shifted his gaze to Hyoheim and said, "Only after my battle with Li Yonghao this time did I realize the flaws in my abilities. That guy's ultimate gung metal is indeed powerful. If you hadn't threatened the lives of their important figures, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the opportunity to injure him. If I had another 5 years, I definitely wouldn't be his match. Fortunately, I've obtained the Hell Thunder Godly Axe this time, and my mana has already been raised to the limit. In 5 years, I'll definitely break that ultimate weapon under my axe." Ji Dong took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Fury. He said, "Senior brother, congratulations. What kind of divine weapon is this Hell Thunder Godly Axe?" Fury replied, "It's already completely fused with me. The Hell Thunder Godly Axe can be said to be a supreme treasure produced by the world of myriad lightning calamity. No one knows where it came from, but the energy contained within it is just too terrifying. Even if several dozen sovereigns work together, they wouldn't be able to compare to it. After thousands of years of ripples of lightning, the might of lightning was compressed and condensed by the world of myriad lightning calamity, turning into the purest form of lightning. It gradually condensed into a divine lightning orb. This divine lightning orb is the predecessor of the Hell Thunder Godly Axe. I don't know who used great power to modify it, but it's a true divine weapon. I've heard that heavenly stem saints all have their own divine weapons. They're made from the first heavenly stem saint's crystal crown and the divine force of the world. This hell thunder godly axe shouldn't be any weaker than those heavenly stem divine armaments. Fury's eyes suddenly lit up with a domineering aura. He said, "Right now, I can even fight against a Class 10 magical beast. There's only a dozen or so days left before the battle between the holy and evil ends. I'll take this opportunity to explore the deeper parts of the Holy Evil Island and see if there's anything else I can find. The Holy Evil Island might be dangerous, but it's also a treasure island." Jidong nodded in agreement. He had also been strengthened by the Heaven Jade on the Holy Evil Island and awakened the chaotic fire. From there, he could switch between the two extremes of mana at will, which greatly increased his strength. He had also obtained the Deicide Strike, which he didn't know the effects of. After leaving this place, he would first melt the golden-armored girl and bury her. After that, he would go to the Flaming Bar and practice the Deicide Strike. "Senior, I'll go with you," Yi Piaoling said. Everyone gathered around Fury after he finished fusing with the god artifact. After a moment of silence, he said, "After the battle just now, I don't think the Magi of the Five Elements continent will dare to engage in a large-scale battle with us. Yi Piaoling, I'll leave this place to you. Lead everyone to the 7th floor to hunt some Class 6 magical beasts. A few of our brothers have just reached rank 60, so it'll be good for them to find suitable mounts. Jidong, Yao Qianshu, you two come with me and Yi Xan to take a look at the Holy Evil Island." Even the depressed Yao Qianshu couldn't help but become excited when he heard that they were going to enter the Holy Evil Island. He nodded in agreement. Yi Xian smiled from ear to ear when she heard that Fury wanted to take her with him. She had already reached rank 60. Although her ranking in the Yinyang Hall was still above Long Tian and the others, she didn't have a magical beast of her own. Fury wanted to take her with him because he wanted to find a magical beast companion for her. As for Yao Qianshu and Jidong, they were both powerful enough to protect themselves. They definitely wouldn't be a burden. After Fury's strength increased, he felt that protecting the three of them would be no problem at all. "Boss, take me with you. Let me take a look as well." Ji Yeseng seemed to have returned to his usual playful self. He even said to Shu Rue in a rather flattering manner. Fury said in a bad mood, "You? I can take anyone but you. If another crown prince dies in the Central Plains, I'm afraid the entire continent will be turned upside down. You should stay here for a while. Wandering, look after Night's Sorrow for me. Don't let anything happen to him." Yi Piaoling held back his laughter and said, "Boss, don't worry. With me here, that kid won't be able to escape. When we left the academy, the board members repeatedly warned us not to let the kid act on his own. Even the equivalent king personally came to the academy. I'll protect him." Ji Yeseng looked pleadingly at Hyoheim. After the previous battle, there was no doubt that Jidong's status here had greatly increased. He was now second only to Fury. Jidong looked up at the sky as if he hadn't seen Ji Yeshang's eyes at all. He murmured, "Senior apprentice brother, the weather today is pretty good. If your magic is fine, let's go." Ji Yeshang followed his gaze to the sky. What weather was pretty good? Aside from dark clouds, when had there ever been any other weather on the Holy Evil Island? This stinking brat. "Jidong, I'm your brother. You can't do this to me." Jidong turned to look at him and said, "I've already killed a crown prince in the Central Plains. Will another one die because of me? If I remember correctly, I'm the only direct descendant of the imperial family besides you. If you die, won't I be forced into that cage? How about this? I promise you that if there's a chance in the future, I'll help you find a magical beast suitable for you." Ji Yeseng couldn't find anyone to help him because of his status as the crown prince of the Central Plains Empire. He looked around and finally nodded, resigned to his fate. Fury waved his hand and took Yi Xian, Jidong, and Yao Qianshu with him. They landed on the back of the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon. The dragon spread its wings and flew into the depths of the Holy Evil Island. Chapter 177. The Holy Evil Island has a total of 18 floors. My Grandmaster said that there was once an expert who reached the 13th floor. However, That was the deepest that we humans could go. No one has ever come out alive after reaching the 13th floor, Fury said in a deep voice. Yi Xian sat in front of Fury on the back of the purple thunder heavenly dragon. Jidong and Yao Qianshu sat behind Fury. This evolved dragon spread its wings and soared high in the sky. It was lightning attributed, so it wasn't afraid of lightning falling from the sky. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, it released its dragon might to the fullest. Now that they had reached the 9th floor of the Holy Evil Island, no magical beasts dared to challenge them. Jidong asked, Senior brother, are the magical beasts from the 9th to the 13th the same as the previous floors? Fury shook his head. Of course not. On the 8th floor, there are 6th rank magical beasts. On the 9th floor, there are 7th rank magical beasts. On the 10th floor, there are 7th rank magical beasts. But from the 11th floor onwards, there are no more magical beasts. Once a magical beast surpasses the 8th rank, their intelligence will increase to a certain level. They will definitely have their own territory. They won't share it with other magical beasts. Therefore, the 11th, 12th, and 13th floors respectively have 8th, 9th, and 10th rank magical beasts. From the 11th floor onwards is the death zone of the Holy Evil Island. Any magical beast is extremely powerful. Yao Qianshu took a deep breath. The 13th floor already has the most powerful 10th rank magical beasts. What do we see further in? Are there heavenly stem divine beasts in the 5th floor? Fury shook his head and said, Grandmaster said that there won't be any heavenly stem divine beasts on the Holy Evil Island. Heavenly stem divine beasts can only be found in the 5 elements continent of light or 5 elements continent of darkness. Nobody knows what's living in the 5th layer of the Holy Evil Island. Grandmaster said that his Grandmaster once went to the 13th layer and looked into the distance. He seemed to see 5 peaks that were so high that their tops couldn't be seen. They were like heavenly pillars piercing into the myriad lightning tribulation realm. The 5 peaks were of 5 different colors. Apart from that, he saw nothing else. This is the only thing we know about the 5th layer of the Holy Evil Island. Jidong asked, Senior brother, what floor are we going to go to this time? Fury smiled. Our target is the 12th floor. There are 9th rank magical beasts there. With Lei Ting and my strength, we should be able to deal with them easily. You guys support us from the side and pay attention to safety. As for the 13th floor, we'll have to wait until the next time we come. 10th rank magical beasts are super rank magical beasts. Their existence is close to divine beasts. Compared to 9th rank magical beasts, it's a qualitative leap. They're equivalent to the supreme experts of the human world. I can of them. Yao Qianshu was embarrassed. Fury, brother of king of beasts of a floor of Yao Yao, of Yao, of mountain of a floor dragons of Yao of Yao floor. Dragon Yao Yao smiled of king. Dragon of sea of Yao, of. So fast. Yao Qianshu hadn't even reached level 50 the last time they separated. If he had broken through to level 60 so quickly, it would be too shocking. His cultivation speed was much faster than Jidong's. Yao Qianshu hurriedly shook his head and said, In the past year, I spent most of my time practicing the 5-element spell formation at the place where we found the treasure. Although my cultivation wasn't slow, how could I reach level 60 so quickly? My mana is now level 54. You're about to catch up to me. Jidong asked suspiciously, What kind of magical beast do you want at level 54? It's not like you can sign a contract with it. Yao Qianshu replied, You don't know about this. We heavenly stem saints. Oh no, we have ultimate mana. We're different from ordinary mages. Relying on our own ultimate mana, we only need to break through level 50 to be able to sign a contract with a magical beast. Moreover, magical beasts generally like to sign contracts with us. You've seen Big Brother Fury's situation. After his mana evolved, the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon also had ultimate mana. This is the benefit of a contract. In other words, if we sign a contract with a magical beast, then the magical beast will definitely evolve and also have ultimate mana. Therefore, As long as we defeat the magical beast, our chances of signing a contract are infinitely close to 100%. Ji-dong said in surprise. So ultimate mana has this kind of benefit. It seems like I'm already level 49. If I work hard to break through level 50, then I can also... Thinking about having a magical beast as a mount, and looking at the incomparably powerful purple thunder, heavenly dragon below him, Ji-dong's heart immediately burned with passion. However, he also knew that breaking through level 50 in a short period of time wouldn't be easy. After all, there was still the bottleneck of the quintuple crown. Breaking through on the Holy Evil Island wasn't suitable. Of course, he now had an advantage that he didn't have before, and that was that he wouldn't have yin and yang conflicts. Little junior brother, this is a good idea. If you can break through in these 10 days, then I'll help you find a suitable magical beast. Yao Qianshu's eyes widened. Ji-dong, don't you already have a magical beast companion? I've always been curious. Why can you sign a contract before you reach level 50? Ji-dong replied, Little Flame isn't my contracted magical beast. She's just my good companion. We're true friends. Because of her body's condition, being with me has a healing effect. Yao Qianshu asked doubtfully, but her attribute is exactly the same as yours, a yin and yang dual flame. Heavens, if you don't need to sign a contract to have such a powerful magical beast, then wouldn't you be able to have another one? Ji-dong sighed. It won't be that easy. Although the Holy Evil Island is the best place to catch magical beasts, my situation is special. Not only have I not broken through to level 50, but I also have an yin and yang dual flame attribute. Finding a suitable magical beast companion is extremely difficult. We can only try our luck. After evolving to Class 9, the Violet Lightning Radiant Dragon's flying speed had clearly increased. Very quickly, it had already brought everyone through the 9th, 10th, and 11th floors. After entering the 9th floor, the terrain of the Evil Island became more complicated. It was no longer just a single terrain. There were lakes, forests, mountains, hills, and even swamps. It was possible to vaguely sense the many powerful presences hidden within. However, the presence of the Violet Lightning Brilliant Dragon was just too powerful. As a Class 9 magical beast, coupled with the presence of Yang Lightning that was compatible with the world of Myriad Lightning Calamity, even magical beasts of the same level would not dare to offend it, let alone weaker magical beasts. As a result, the journey was relatively peaceful. Even when they encountered flying magical beasts, they would avoid them. They did not dare to come into conflict with the Violet Lightning Brilliant Dragon. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at their destination, the 12th floor of the Evil Island. Thunder, let's go down, Fury called out. Although he and Thunder were no longer afraid of Class 9 magical beasts, this was still the Holy Evil Island after all. They were just too obvious in the air. If they attracted the attention of all the Class 9 magical beasts on the 12th floor, they would not be able to handle it. Thunder folded its wings and landed loudly on the ground. The 4 of them had already seen from the sky that the 12th floor was dominated by a huge lake. It was surrounded by mountains and forests. In terms of scenery, this was the best place they had seen since entering the island. If it were not for the fact that the sky was filled with dark clouds, the scenery would be even better. The surface of the lake was extremely calm. It was like a blue crystal reflecting a faint light. Mist drifted gently on the surface of the lake, adding some mysteriousness to the tranquility. Without even asking Ji-dong and the others, they knew that the bottom of the lake was definitely not as calm as it seemed on the surface. It would be strange if there were no powerful magical beasts. On the Holy Evil Island, the number of magical beasts would decrease as they ventured deeper into the island. However, they would become more and more powerful. With their feet firmly on the ground, Ji-dong and Yao Qianshu leapt off the dragon's back one after another, while Yi Xian remained on the dragon's back with fury. As the Violet Thunder Heavenly Dragon withdrew its presence, Fury's gaze became cautious. He was not afraid of a Class 9 magical beast head-on, but if a Class 9 magical beast launched a sneak attack from the shadows, it would be rather dangerous for them, especially for Ji-dong and Yao Qianshu, who were still weak. This was not the first time that Yao Qianshu and Ji Dong had cooperated. Following Ji Dong, he pressed one hand directly on the demon Lord Yinyang armor on Ji Dong's back, and the other hand on a big tree next to him. The emerald brilliance was quietly released. There was no strong magical fluctuation, only yang vitality. Although Yao Qianshu's ultimate first wood and the scorpion's ultimate Ewood could both emit the breath of life, the two were different. The breath of life emitted by Yao Qianshu's ultimate first wood was yang and righteous qi, while the scorpion's ultimate Ewood was dense and pervasive. This was the difference between yin and yang attributes. It was the same vitality, but also different. Yao Qianshu closed his eyes slightly, and the first wood condensed formation slowly appeared behind him. In addition to the lake, there was only a forest here. His ultimate first wood magic was perfect for exploration. With his affinity with the forest, as long as there were magical beasts hiding in the forest, he could easily find them. The faint jade-green radiance quietly spread in the air, rapidly radiating outwards. The magic in Ji Dong's body was running, and the winged serpent transformation and vermilion bird transformation had already been released at the same time. In this place, he did not dare to be careless. The super killer skill, Sun and Moon Yin and Yang boundary, could only be released in a special environment with his current strength. Even with Yao Qianshu's buff, it was not enough. He did not need to think about killing the enemy. He just needed to protect himself. After a long while, Yao Qianshu opened his eyes and retracted his own magic. He wondered, it's strange. Within a radius of thousands of square meters, there is no breath of magical beasts. My magic can even extend to some plants under the lake. I did not find the breath of magical beasts. Could it be that this 12th layer is so calm? Ji Dong's eyes moved, and he said, no, there's a situation that you may not be able to find. If the magical beasts here have the same attributes as you, and their strength is far higher than you by 3 grades, and they make up for the breadth of the ultimate attribute, I'm afraid you will. Just as Ji Dong said this, suddenly, the purple thunder sky dragon suddenly raised its head, and the wide and thick scales on its body suddenly stood up. The dazzling light of thunder and lightning surrounded its body and suddenly released. The tyrannical momentum turned into a dense purple light and rushed into the sky. Be careful, there's a strong enemy, Fury shouted, and the vertical third eye in the middle of his forehead quietly opened. A deep purple light shot out and landed in his hand. Then a huge, unadorned battle axe about 10 meters long appeared in his hand. It was the divine armament, the divine thunder axe. However, the divine thunder axe was now almost 100 times larger. As soon as it appeared, the surrounding air immediately became sticky, and the various types of energy were madly dispersed. The world of myriad lightning calamity in the air rolled, as if it was attracted by its aura and could explode at any time. The strange thing was that no powerful aura responded from the forest, but the gaze of the purple thunder sky dragon became extremely cautious. It even slowly took 2 steps back. Although it was not at the peak of the 9th grade, the purple thunder sky dragon possessed the ultimate yang lightning demon. Even if it encountered a peak 9th grade magical beast, it would not lose. This was also an important reason why Fury was confident that he could bring everyone to the 12th floor. Could it be that it was so cautious? A sense of danger immediately filled the hearts of Ji Dong and Yao Qianshu. Fury shouted with a deep voice, all of you, retreat to the back. It might be a 10th grade divine beast. If it really is, I'll hold it off. You go into the sky first, and we'll meet up again. EXIN frowned slightly and said, we can't be that unlucky, right? Or is our information wrong? The 12th floor is not just the habitat of a 9th grade magical beast. Just when everyone was extremely cautious, a voice suddenly rang out from the forest. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. I have no ill intentions. I'm here to recognize you as my master. Please don't do anything. Even if you can't kill me, it's not good to destroy the flowers and grass here. Under everyone's vigilant gaze, a little pig jumped out from the forest. Yes, it was a little pig. Furthermore, it looked like it was out of breath. This little pig was extremely cute. It was snow white, and it had a fat head and big ears. It looked like a round ball. It was only a foot long, and it did not run very fast on the ground. What was more peculiar was that there was a large green chrysanthemum pattern from its back to its butt. However, it did not emit any powerful aura. Chapter 178. Seeing the piglet with chrysanthemum patterns on its back running out of the woods, except for the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, Fury, Yi Exen, Jidong, and Yao Qianshu were all stunned. They could not imagine that the first magical beast they saw on the dangerous 12th floor of the Holy Evil Island turned out to be a very cute white piglet. Only the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, after seeing it, roared again and again, showing its teeth, but did not launch an attack. The power of thunder and lightning was constantly flowing and bursting out, as if it might be released at any time. Big guy, be quiet, be quiet. Can't you see that this holy pig has no malice? The piglet ran to a place 20 meters away from the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, and stopped, looking up at the purple thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon with some difficulty. A magical beast that could speak, what did it mean? Rank 10, mythological beast? Only rank 10 magical beasts could have the ability to speak. Yao Qianshu tentatively asked, "Are you a rank 10 magical beast?" When the piglet saw Yao Qianshu, its small eyes suddenly became crescent moons, and it seemed to be beaming with joy, saying, "Yes, yes, my future master, of course, am a rank 10 magical beast. Otherwise, how can I live in the depths of this holy evil island? People call me Chrysanthemum Holy Pig. Come on, let me recognize you as my master. I just felt your extreme firstwood magic power, and I am also extreme firstwood. There is no magical beast more suitable for you than me." Rank 10 magical beasts were like human 9-crown magicians. They all had extreme magic power, which was why there was a big difference between rank 9 magical beasts and rank 10 magical beasts. Yao Qianshu was dumbfounded. "You want to recognize me as your master? I don't have to defeat you first." The chrysanthemum holy pig proudly raised its head and said, "Of course not. We rank 10 magical beasts have wisdom beyond you humans. As long as we can leave this damn holy evil island, what is there to defeat? It wasn't easy for me to meet a magician like you with extreme magic power. I don't want to accidentally kill you. What are you waiting for? Could it be that this holy pig can't be your magical beast companion? Oh, remember, I want to sign a master-servant contract. I'm the master, and you're the servant. That's the only way to fit my identity as a holy pig." Speaking up to there, the chrysanthemum holy pig emphasized, "I'm a class 10 magical beast. Think about it, with me as your magical beast companion. How cool would that be?" Yao Qianshu shook his head repeatedly and said, "Of course not. How could it be a master-servant contract? Even if it's a master-servant contract, I should be the master and you should be the servant. Although you're a class 10 magical beast, I'm the heavenly stem, holy disciple of the radiant 5 elements continent. My future development is limitless. It won't be long before my strength surpasses yours. Besides, it's unrealistic to use a pig as a magical beast companion. I don't want to be laughed at by others. Please go ahead. I won't sign a contract with you." Jidong, who was more familiar with Yao Qianshu, clearly saw that Yao Qianshu's eyes were shining brightly at this moment. He couldn't help but snicker in his heart. This guy was clearly tempted, but his mouth was dismissive of the chrysanthemum holy pig in front of him. Although Jidong was very curious as to why this chrysanthemum holy pig, which should indeed be a class 10 magical beast, would take the initiative to find Yao Qianshu, it was a class 10 magical beast after all. However, this guy had encountered a money tree with the title of Medicine Cures Fatal Illness. Money helps the fated. It wouldn't be so easy to take advantage of it. Fury sat on the back of the purple thunder heavenly dragon and looked at Yi Exen, who was in his arms. They both revealed surprised expressions. Fury wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Ji Dong's gaze. Let them solve their own problems. Although he said that, Ji Dong and Fury didn't relax at all. Facing a class 10 magical beast, if they weren't careful and were attacked by it, it would be a devastating disaster. The The chrysanthemum holy pig widened its small eyes and said in surprise, "What? You actually refused a great mythological beast? Although I'm a pig, I'm the most powerful pig in the world. I have the most powerful ability of pig-type magical beasts. You dare to hide it from me?" Yao Qianshu took 2 steps forward and shook his head. The most powerful pig is still a pig. Haven't you heard that it's not a deal that comes to you? You took the initiative to come to me, which is already degrading yourself. Why should I sign a contract with you? Even if it's an ordinary firstwood magical beast, as long as it signs a contract with me, I can cultivate it into a class 10 magical beast. The chrysanthemum holy pig looked at Yao Qianshu with some anger. How unlucky. I finally met a suitable person, but he's so calculative. You humans are really despicable. To think that I, the chrysanthemum holy pig, am also a top figure on this holy evil island, but I'm actually being looked down upon by you. I'm going to kill you. As it spoke, the green chrysanthemum pattern on the chrysanthemum holy pig's back suddenly lit up. Immediately afterward, its body that was only a foot long instantly expanded, expanding to a terrifying degree of 50 meters tall and 100 meters long in the blink of an eye. It was the size of 7 or 8 purple thunder heavenly dragons. An incomparably terrifying aura pressed down like a substance, making everyone feel suffocated. Fury shouted. The Hell Thunder Divine axe in his hand was placed horizontally in front of him. Suddenly, a mountain-like heavenly thunder chi burst out, resonating with the myriad lightning calamity in the sky, barely resisting the terrifying pressure released by the chrysanthemum holy pig. A layer of emerald light enveloped the chrysanthemum holy pig. Its huge body looked down at Yao Qianshu. Lowly human, have you seen the strength of this holy pig? It's not too late for you to change your mind. If it weren't for your good potential, possessing the ultimate firstwood magical beast, and being able to take me out of this damned place, do you think this holy pig would lower himself? Yao Qianshu snorted. So what if you're strong? With Brother Fury here, there's no problem for us to escape unscathed. You also have to understand that if you miss this opportunity, I'm afraid you'll never have the chance to leave this holy evil island. How about this? You and I both take a step back. We'll sign an equality contract, which is the bottom line I can accept. Otherwise, we'll leave immediately, and you can continue to be a fierce man on this holy evil island. After the chrysanthemum pig's body expanded, its eyes were still not big. The eyeballs in the small eyes rolled around. Thinking, the huge pressure gradually weakened. It shook its fat head and big ears, sighed, and reluctantly said, "Well, I'm unlucky. I have to leave this holy evil island first." As it said, it shook its body, and the green light converged. In the blink of an eye, it returned to its original size. A green gas was spat out from its mouth, condensing into a strange symbol in the air. The air was suddenly filled with the huge life aura unique to the firstwood, so that everyone present was filled with a comfortable feeling. Yao Qianshu's eyes lit up. He hurriedly stepped forward, bit the tip of his right index finger, and drew the same symbol out of thin air. The magic of the ultimate firstwood and the brand of his blood merged with the symbol spat out by the chrysanthemum pig in the air. Suddenly, a golden light lit up in the sky, connecting the two of them together like a bridge. This was the bridge of contract. Once the bridge of contract was formed, it meant that the two of them had formed an equal contract. Whether it was a magical beast or a demon master, a contract was extremely important. A demon master could only form a contract like this once in their lifetime, but a magical beast could not betray its master unless its master died. Yao Qianshu could no longer hold back the pride in his heart as he watched the bridge of the contract form. He began to laugh aloud. To be able to form a contract with a Class 10 magical beast was, without a doubt, a very exciting matter. With the help of this Class 10 magical beast, he would be able to become one of the strongest people in the world, even though he was only around level 50. How could he not laugh? However, to everyone's surprise, the chrysanthemum pig also laughed, and laughed louder than Yao Qianshu. Looking at its proud appearance, it was no worse than Yao Qianshu. What are you laughing at? Yao Qianshu asked doubtfully. The chrysanthemum pig shook its head and said triumphantly, I can finally leave the holy, evil island. How can I not laugh? It's too dangerous here. I may be killed at any time. It's not easy for this holy pig to live so long. In the future, this holy pig's eating, drinking, and playing will depend on you. I don't have to pick up dead bodies to eat anymore. Yao Qianshu looked at it dumbfounded and said, wait a minute. What do you mean by picking up dead bodies to eat? As a rank 10 magical beast, aside from magical beasts of the same level, you should be the ruler of this generation on the holy evil island. Why do you still have to pick up dead bodies? The chrysanthemum pig chuckled. It's already a contract anyway. It's too late for you to regret it. I'll tell you the truth. Although this holy pig is extremely strong, I don't have any offensive skills. I just eat a lot, so I evolve quickly. My body has reached the level of a rank 10 magical beast. However, I don't know how to fight, so don't count on me to help you. Yao Qianshu had never thought that this class 10 magical beast that had just displayed its strength would actually say something like that. But didn't you just say that you have the strongest ability of all pig-type magical beasts? Yao Qianshu asked, unwilling to give up. The chrysanthemum pig nodded. That's right. Let me ask you, what is the ability of pig? It's eating. Among all the pig-type magical beasts, there's no one that can eat more than me. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't have the ability to fight, why would I come to the 12th floor? As he said that, he raised his front hoof and pointed at the purple thunder brilliant heavenly dragon. Even if it's such a big guy, I can still eat it in one bite. My appetite is very big. I'll have to rely on you in the future. Yao Qianshu stood there in a daze. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He had always been famous for being stingy, haggling, and shrewd like a ghost. He never thought that he would be cheated so badly. No wonder this pig would take the initiative to come and sign a contract with him. It actually didn't have any offensive abilities. Ji Dong came to Yao Qianshu's side and asked the chrysanthemum pig doubtfully, Then what's with the aura you showed just now? I've seen class 10 magical beasts more than once, and your aura is indeed no different from theirs. The chrysanthemum pig snorted and said, This holy pig is a class 10 magical beast, so of course I have the aura of a class 10 magical beast. Normally, if I can't find a corpse, I'll use this aura to scare the weaker magical beasts outside. I'll directly scare them to death and then eat them. Without the aura of a class 10 magical beast, who knows how long I've been dead. Ji Dong, Fury, and Xin looked at Yao Qianshu at the same time. Ji Dong patted Yao Qianshu's shoulder and said, My condolences. I didn't think you'd meet such a despicable and shameless class 10 magical beast. Yao Qianshu glared at the chrysanthemum pig fiercely and said, Damn fat pig, do you believe that I'll sell you for pork by the caddy when I get out? The chrysanthemum pig laid on the ground and looked innocently at Yao Qianshu. Sure, I don't object. However, I have to tell you that when we were forming the contract, I accidentally added my own life force into it. You might have been too excited and didn't notice it, but because my life force is far stronger than yours, even if you didn't agree, we've formed an equal contract. If I die, you won't be able to take it either. You'll probably have no choice but to accompany me. You have to protect me in the future, or you'll be in deep trouble. Yao Qianshu's eyes were bloodshot, and he was about to charge forward. He had never thought that after all these years of being shrewd, he would lose so much this time. He wanted nothing more than to kill himself. Ji Dong hurriedly pulled him back and said, This pig is just too cunning. However, you have to think on the bright side. No matter what, it definitely has the ability to survive on this dangerous evil island until now. If it really doesn't work, its ability to scare people is still pretty good. Perhaps after you sign the contract, it'll gradually develop a fighting ability? Yao Qianshu looked at Ji Dong with tears in his eyes and said, I want to die. Why am I so unlucky? I beat swallows all year round, only to be pecked in the eye by a swallow. I don't want to live anymore. No matter how he lamented, Yao Qianshu finally had to accept the fact that Chrysanthemum Pig had become his magical beast partner. Moreover, it was a magical beast partner who shared life with him. Sitting on the ground, Yao Qianshu and Chrysanthemum Pig stared at each other. He really wanted to pounce on this guy and beat him up. But in fact, Yao Qianshu really didn't have that ability now. Although Chrysanthemum Pig couldn't attack, as long as it showed its original shape, the huge gap in aura and body. Even if it let go and let Yao Qianshu attack, Yao Qianshu wouldn't be able to hurt it. After all, they had the same source of magic. Yao Qianshu could only comfort himself that he had found a meat shield. However, Yixin liked Chrysanthemum Pig very much. In any case, this round guy was very cute. Fury asked Chrysanthemum Pig, "There are no magical beasts nearby. Are they all scared away by your aura?" Chrysanthemum Pig said proudly, "Of course, as long as it doesn't enter the 13th layer, what magical beast won't be afraid of my aura? Although you're a good dragon, weren't you scared enough by me just now?" Ji Dong suddenly asked, "Chrysanthemum Pig, what's in the 13th layer of the evil island?" Chapter 179. Ji Dong suddenly asked Chrysanthemum Pig about the situation within the 13th layer of the holy evil island, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. Even Yao Qianshu, who was extremely depressed, couldn't help but perk up his ears. Chrysanthemum Pig glanced at Ji Dong, then raised one of its front hooves and rubbed the tips of its two hooves together. Ji Dong asked doubtfully, "What do you mean?" Chrysanthemum Pig snorted, "You want to know such a big secret? Don't you feel embarrassed if you don't give me some benefits?" Ji Dong was speechless, but he couldn't help but find it funny. No wonder you would sign a contract with Yao Qianshu. Your ability to ask for money from under the coffin is not much different. Yao Qianshu said angrily, "Don't compare me with this damn pig." Chrysanthemum Pig glanced at Yao Qianshu and snorted, "Seeing that we have an equal contract, I won't argue with you. In the future, you will have to beg this holy pig." Ji Dong said to Chrysanthemum Holy Pig, "What benefits do you want to get to be willing to tell us the situation within the 13th layer?" Chrysanthemum Holy Pig looked at everyone, and his gaze finally locked on the vertical Ion Fury's forehead. "That axe of his seems to be passable. If I eat it, I will tell you." The four people looked at it, as if they were looking at an idiot. Chrysanthemum Pig coughed awkwardly, then looked at the vermilion bird bracelet in Hyoheim's hand. "How about you let me eat your bracelet? I'll make up for it." Ji Dong looked at him coldly, turned his wrist, and a few second and third-rank crystal nuclei appeared in his palm, saying, "Just these, do you want them? If you don't, then forget it. We will find out sooner or later." Chrysanthemum Pig's small eyes widened. "Although you are asking for sky-high prices, but you are too ruthless." Seeing that Ji Dong was about to put away the crystal nuclei, he hurriedly said, "Forget it, forget it. Flies are also meat. Who asked you to be friends with my contract partner? I will endure it." As he spoke, he didn't move his body, but opened his mouth, and those crystal nuclei were immediately swallowed into his stomach. Ji Dong and Yao Qianshu looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. The crystal nuclei that Ji Dong took out were not taken out casually, but purposefully. None of them were wood crystal nuclei, they were all fire crystal nuclei, and so on. Normally, this Chrysanthemum Pig was of the first wood attribute, so these crystal nuclei were not what it should eat, but it just ate them. No wonder it said that it was the one that could eat the most among its kind. Just this digestive ability was already beyond the reach of ordinary magical beasts. Even a magical beast at the peak of the 9th rank, like the purple Thunder Heaven Dragon, would never eat crystal nuclei of different attributes, because it would be harmful. The Chrysanthemum Pig kept its promise. After eating the crystal nuclei, it smacked its lips with some dissatisfaction. "Too little, not even enough to fill my teeth." "Fine, I will tell you. Don't think that this holy pig has no fighting ability, but if it was a 10th rank magical beast here, it also wouldn't be able to tell you what is inside the 13th layer of the holy evil island. Only this holy pig entered the 13th layer and came out alive. I ate at least 3 10th rank magical beast corpses there, otherwise I wouldn't have grown so fast. 10th rank magical beasts are really hard to digest. It takes a long time to digest one." Yao Qianshu frowned. "Get to the point." The Chrysanthemum Pig rolled its eyes. "What's the hurry? You only gave me this little benefit, and you still want to rush me? Do you have any humanity? You, Yao Qinshu forcefully suppressed his anger and turned his head away. He no longer wanted to look at this little fat pig who was obviously cute, but was infuriating him to death. The chrysanthemum pig shook its head and continued. Within the 13th layer, there are 5 more layers, adding up to a total of 18 layers. The Holy Evil Island has a total of 18 layers. What do you think? This is a big secret, right? Yao Qinshu said angrily. Bullshit. We already know this. Do we need you to tell us? The chrysanthemum pig snorted. Fine. Since you already know, then I won't say it. Ji Dong slowly raised his hands, one black and one gold. The ultimate dual fire lit up in his palms at the same time. He murmured, You haven't eaten cooked food for several days. You don't have any fighting ability, right? Let me test it. You ate a few of my cores, so I will eat 2 pieces of your pork. Wild roasted meat doesn't seem bad either. Don't worry, I will only cut a few pieces for us at most. It won't endanger your life. With your life force, it will be very easy to grow. At most, it will be a little painful. What did you say? You want to cut my meat? You dare to threaten a 10th rank magical beast. The great holy chrysanthemum pig? You're joking, right? A cold light flashed in Ji Dong's eyes. With a clang, the sharp blade of the demon Lord Yin-Yang armor on his right hand popped out. He said, You'll know if I'm joking or not if you try. Qinshu, you don't have any objections, right? Yao Qinshu turned his head. I didn't see anything. The ultimate yang fire on Ji Dong's right hand entered the blade, and the blade immediately turned golden red. Seeing that he was really going to attack, the chrysanthemum pig immediately panicked. Okay, I'm joking, okay? I'll say it. The 5 layers within the 13th layer are actually 5 mountains, arranged in a cross. In the center of the cross is a yellow mountain. The north side is black, the south side is red, the west side is white, and the east side is green. These 5 mountains are called the 5 Saint Mountains by the magical beasts on the Holy Evil Island. Therefore, the 5 layers within the 13th layer are actually parallel. 5 Saint Mountains? Hearing this name, the flames on Ji Dong's hand disappeared, and he asked, Then what kind of magical beasts live in the 5 Saint Mountains? What other characteristics do they have? The chrysanthemum pig said, The 5 Saint Mountains are very high, but it's surrounded by clouds, so we can't see it from the outside. Only when we enter the range of the 5 Saint Mountains can we see it clearly. I don't know how high the 5 mountains are, but they directly drill into the world of innumerable lightning calamity. It seems that the world of innumerable lightning calamity is formed by them. In the 5 Saint Mountains, there is only one Lord Holy Beast living in each of them. Whoever dares to enter the territory of the 5 Saint Mountains will definitely die. Holy Beast? Fury asked doubtfully. Isn't the 10th rank the peak of the magical beasts? The heavenly stem divine beast is the peak of the 10th rank. Are the 5 magical beasts living in the 5 Saint Mountains all heavenly stem divine beasts? The chrysanthemum pig shook his head and said, Heavenly stem divine beasts are nothing. There are at least 7 or 8 fellows on the 13th floor that are no weaker than heavenly stem magical beasts. Even they don't dare to enter the vicinity of the 5 Saint Mountain. Sacred beasts have never been class 10. If you really have to go by levels, they should be class 11. So-called divine beasts are still just beasts. The title of divine beast is just a nice name, while sacred beasts are true demigods. They are all magical beasts of the 5 elements that balance yin and yang. As he spoke, he pointed at Ji Dong. Just like you, they have both yin and yang attributes, so they're also called the holy beasts of the 5 elements. They are the most powerful magical beasts in the world, the ancestors of magical beasts. Everyone looked at each other. The holy beasts of the 5 elements and the ancestors of magical beasts. Just these 2 names were enough to reveal the secret of the Holy Evil Island. They were even more powerful than the heavenly stem divine beasts. How powerful were the demigods? The chrysanthemum pig showed off a little. According to the guys on the 13th floor who are at the same level as me, if the 5 holy beasts work together, even the real gods have to retreat. They should be the pets of the God King. I don't know why they came to the human world. It seems that they were invited by you humans. I don't know the details. Last time I entered the range of the 5 Saint Mountains, maybe because I didn't have the ability to fight, I just happened to meet the holy beast of the wood's sacred mountain. He kicked me out and spared my life. Yao Qianshu's eyes were burning. What does the wood's sacred beast look like? The chrysanthemum pig rolled his eyes. Do you think it's so easy to see the holy beast? I just heard the voice of the holy beast and felt extremely honored. But with a flash of cyan light, I was kicked out. Fury took a deep breath and said, "No wonder many years ago, countless experts from the 2 continents fought against each other on the Holy Evil Island, but they failed to clear out the magical beasts here, which led to a large number of deaths. With the existence of such a powerful holy beast, who can be its opponent? It seems that the Holy Evil Island will continue to exist." Chrysanthemum Pig's guess is probably correct. The realm of infinite lightning calamity is probably related to the 5 holy beasts of the 5 Saint Mountains. Except for God, I can't think of anyone who can condense such an existence. Yao Qianshu sighed and said, "It seems that we will never be able to explore the mysteries within." Ji Dong shook his head. That's not necessarily true. Chrysanthemum Pig said that the 5 holy beasts were once the pets of the God King. It's very likely that they were brought down to the human world by us humans. I think it's possible that we humans have reached the God level and summoned them here. If that's the case, you said that the 10 saints of the first generation joined hands to create the Holy Evil Island. Perhaps they were afraid that the 2 continents would really fall because of the war, so they summoned the 5 holy beasts to guard the Holy Evil Island. Since our ancestors could summon the holy beasts, why can't we go in and explore? Do you remember the heavenly stem outfit you mentioned to me? I think it's very likely to be in the 5 Saint Mountains. If we want to go in, we need to work hard. Yao Qianshu nodded and said, "Then we'll have to at least wait until our magic power reaches 9 crowns, and we have a certain level of self-protection before we can enter." Ji Dong, don't try to be brave. Ji Dong smiled faintly. Don't worry, I won't. We didn't go in vain this time. At least we know what's in the core of the Holy Evil Island. You also got a magical beast companion. Don't mention this, okay? Yao Qianshu looked at the chrysanthemum pig in a bad mood. He was very depressed at the mention of this magical beast companion. Fury said, "Let's go, we'll look for a 9th rank magical beast on the 12th floor." Chrysanthemum pig, hide your aura. Don't scare away the magical beasts. We need to find a 9th rank magical beast of the Gue water element to capture. Junior, can you break through? Ji Dong shook his head. Breaking through to the 50th level is not something that can be done in a day. Senior, I've already thought about it. If I miss this opportunity, there will be a next time. I'm not in a hurry to get a magical beast companion. Improving my own strength is the most important thing. When I have stronger strength, I can naturally sign a contract with a stronger magical beast. If he forced himself to practice, he might really be able to break through in a short period of time. But there was no doubt that it would cause his foundation to be unstable. Moreover, after seeing Yao Qianshu sign a contract with a useless magical beast like the chrysanthemum pig, Ji Dong was very touched. As the saying goes, a melon that is forcefully twisted is not sweet. Finding a magical beast companion depends more on luck. It's not easy to find a fire magical beast with yin and yang attributes. That's impossible. Anyway, he has Hua as a companion, so he is not in a hurry to find another magical beast. Generally speaking, water magical beasts prefer to live by the water or underwater. In order to find a suitable magical beast companion for Yi Xin, everyone's goal was naturally to move along the lake. It was not easy to specifically find a Class 9 water magical beast, but to everyone's surprise, the chrysanthemum pig's participation made the process a lot easier. Very soon, they encountered the first Class 9 magical beast, which was of the gung metal attribute. In order to prove that it was not useless, the chrysanthemum pig immediately released the tyrannical pressure of a Class 10 magical beast and directly scared the gung metal magical beast away. Entering the 12th floor of the Holy Evil Island was already full of danger. Of course, It was a good thing to be able to preserve their strength as much as possible. Although they had fury and a divine weapon like the Thunder Divine Axe, it was still unrealistic for them to hunt a large number of Class 9 magical beasts and obtain Class 9 crystal cores with their strength. Therefore, with the help of the chrysanthemum pig, they could save a lot of trouble in the process of finding the water magical beast. They did not need to fight too many battles. They could just continue to search. Even if they consumed a lot of strength in the future battles, the chrysanthemum pig could also use its aura of a Class 10 magical beast to protect them from continuing to fight. With this discovery, Yao Qinshu's depression gradually eased a little. In any case, the chrysanthemum pig was not completely useless. Moreover, there was one thing that he could accept, and that was the chrysanthemum pig's previous behavior of asking for benefits from Hyoheim. If it was someone else, they might be very disdainful of such behavior, but for a money tree that had no resistance to money, this was a superb character. The chrysanthemum pig also gradually changed from walking with a group to being carried by Yao Qinshu. Yao Qinshu thought to himself that he would just treat it as a talking pet. Of course, the quarrel between the man and the pig had never stopped. They constantly argued about who had the advantage of signing the life-sharing equality contract. "Stop arguing, there's a situation," Fury shouted in a low voice, stopping the chrysanthemum pig and Yao Qinshu who were arguing. His sharp eyes were directly cast to the lake, and there seemed to be a layer of dense water, elemental magic fluctuations in the dense lake. Chapter 180. In order to not scare away the Class 9 magical beasts, Fury had already put away the violet heavenly lightning dragon. That way, as long as the chrysanthemum pig didn't release his aura, they would only look like ordinary humans. The magical beasts on the Evil Saint Island all had a strong desire to attack. Devouring human crystal crowns was a shortcut for them to increase their strength. Quite a few Class 9 magical beasts had appeared because of this before, but they were all scared away by the chrysanthemum pig. Fury took a step forward and stood in front of everyone. The third eye on his forehead slowly opened and let out a strange light as he stared at the lake. Jidong and Yao Qinshu stood on his left and right, while Yi Xin stood slightly behind him. The mana of the four of them increased at almost the same time. The five elements support each other. Jidong called out. Yi Xin and Yao Qinshu immediately understood. Yao Qinshu appeared behind Jidong in a flash, while Yi Xin stood behind Yao Qinshu. Among the five elements, water gave birth to wood, and wood gave birth to fire. They were making use of this point. Although the three of them weren't as powerful as Fury, their auras had already started to change subtly, even though they hadn't started to fuse their mana yet when the three of them stood together as one. The chrysanthemum pig very consciously jumped out of Yao Qinshu's arms and ran far away, hiding behind a large tree. Fury roared, "Come out!" As he spoke, he pressed his hands together, and a dazzling bolt of lightning shot out from the water. With a loud rumble, the surface of the water within several hundred square meters was filled with a layer of intense lightning. Fury's already tyrannical Yang lightning had become even more terrifying after evolving to extreme Yang magic. It was even more terrifying than Jidong's extreme Yang flames. Another booming sound rang out as a gigantic body suddenly rose up from the water, revealing half of its body. At the same time, countless water arrows appeared. These water arrows sparkled with a crystalline purple luster, and the moment they appeared, they immediately scattered in all directions. A dense cold air filled the air, and the dense water arrows instantly transformed into countless ice arrows that shot out in all directions. It seemed chaotic, but in the blink of an eye, a large ice arrow formation was formed in the air, surrounding Fury, Jidong, and the others as they shot down. The entire air was filled with the fluctuations of the water element. The purple mana was undoubtedly of the water attribute. Jidong and the others had finally found their target. Fury wasn't afraid of the Class 9 magical beast attack at all. He made a gesture of holding up the sky with his hands, and a domineering purple light shot out from his third eye. In that instant, a thunderous sound rang out in the air. The space within several hundred meters seemed to be torn apart, violently twisting. Afterwards, the twisting air violently vibrated, and rings of extreme, yang lightning erupted from within. The divine lightning axe appeared in the air just like that. The twisting of the air was the effect of the axe's trembling. Booms boomed through the air like thunder. The large swathes of ice arrows were actually completely shattered, scattering in all directions. Only now did Ji Dong understand that his senior brother could fend off Class 9 magical beasts, even without the assistance of the violet heavenly lightning dragon after wielding a god artifact of the element, and his mana had evolved to the limit. As the ice arrows shattered, everyone was able to see the appearance of the magical beast. It was an icy blue fellow with the head of a bull and the body of a snake. Its entire body shone with purple light, but the purple light did not appear as mist. Instead, it revolved around its body like ribbons of light. Its scales were strange triangles, and the two horns on its head protruded upwards in a spiral shape. They were over 1 meter long, and just the part of its body above the water surface was over 5 meters long. Right now, its flickering purple eyes stared at the divine lightning axe in the air. It was filled with shock and doubt. Clearly, the demonic energy that came from the same source as the world of myriad lightning calamity had caused it to panic. Xin said with some joy, "That's a violetized heavenly demonic serpent, a subdragon. It said that if it reaches the 10th class, it'll really transform into a violetized heavenly demonic dragon." Fury let out a long roar, and his stalwart body soared into the air. He grabbed the giant Thunder Divine axe in midair and raised his arms backward. His entire body bent backward into the shape of a bow in the air. The Thunder Divine axe drew a long arc in the air and chopped straight down. The fan-shaped purple light of extreme yang lightning instantly erupted, and the entire sky seemed to be about to be split apart by his axe. The violet light around the violetized heavenly demonic serpent rapidly shrank and trembled under the violet light of the ultimate yang lightning. It was actually being suppressed, but it was still a powerful Class 9 magical beast that lived on the evil Saint Island after all. Although it was shocked, it did not panic. With a furious roar, it spat out a streak of violet light from its mouth, condensing into a huge shield of amethyst ice. With a great boom, the shield of amethyst ice immediately exploded, turning into countless pieces of ice that scattered in all directions. Fury's divine lightning axe did not weaken at all, continuing to swing towards the violetized heavenly demonic mosquito's head. Despite the huge difference in their demonic energies, he was still able to completely suppress the Class 9 magical beast. This was more than enough to demonstrate just how terrifying the power of a god artifact was. Even Fury himself had never thought that the violetized heavenly demonic serpent would actually be so powerful. His ultimate yang lightning had increased by at least a fold at the very least, while the amethyst ice shield that was several meters thick did not seem to be able to block it at all. It was just an attack infused with demonic energy, but it was already comparable to a killing move. The huge axe seemed to be filled with an unstoppable power. Fury himself had not expected the violetized heavenly demonic serpent to be so powerful. His ultimate yang lightning was sent out through the divine lightning axe, and the violetized heavenly demonic serpent's body trembled violently. The surrounding water had become a dense violet color, and the powerful coldness immediately froze the lake. The violetized heavenly demonic serpent had spat out a basketball-sized orb. It flickered with violet light and was filled with the tremendous energy of the world. Everyone knew without asking that this was the violetized heavenly demonic serpent's orb. To demons like them, the serpent's orb was equivalent to their crystal core. It was the source of their energy, so they had no choice but to spit it out in a moment of danger. It collided with the divine lightning axe. The violetized heavenly demonic serpent had spat out a basketball-sized orb. It flickered with violet light and was filled with the tremendous energy of the world. Everyone knew without asking that this was the Violetized heavenly demonic serpent's orb. To demons like them, the serpent's orb was equivalent to their crystal core. It was the source of their energy, so they had no choice but to spit it out to collide with the divine lightning axe. Fury's demonic energy was not enough to unleash the true power of the divine lightning axe after all, so he was knocked away by the tremendous amount of demonic energy condensed in the orb. However, the Violetized heavenly demonic serpent's orb was stimulated by the divine lightning axe, so the Violetized heavenly demonic serpent definitely did not feel any better. The powerful Class 9 magical beast was truly enraged now. Roars constantly rang out from its mouth as dazzling violet light scattered in all directions. It was currently displaying its terrifying strength as a Class 9 magical beast. With a great boom, the Violetized heavenly demonic serpent's huge body twisted violently on the frozen surface of the lake. Immediately, all the ice shattered. Without a doubt, being in the lake was the most advantageous place for it to use its strength. A huge, 5-meter-long icicle, as thick as a house beam, rose into the air. The tremendous magical energy of the water of Gue caused its entire body to turn violet. The countless icicles scattered in all directions with terrifying presences, shooting towards everyone. This was the purple ice heavenly demonic Jiao Dragon's unique ultimate skill, Purple Ice Heavenly Demonic Dance. With the help of the lake water, the power of this ultimate skill was raised to an extremely terrifying level. More than half of the icicles flew towards Fury, who was in the air. "Everyone, be careful!" Fury yelled in the air as he swung the divine lightning axe in his hand. The icicles were constantly turned into powder by his ultimate Yang lightning magic. However, under the attack of the Violetized heavenly demonic serpent, he was temporarily unable to retaliate. The killing move of a Class 9 magical beast was not something low-level magical beasts could compare to. However, the air was instantly filled with water elements, forming a domain of violet ice. This greatly suppressed everyone's magical energy, especially Yi Xin. She did not possess ultimate mana, and she was also of the water element. Although her magical energy had broken through the 6-crown fragmented world, she could clearly feel the pain of being suppressed. Among everyone, the only one who felt comfortable was probably Yao Qianshu. Water and wood. As the possessor of the ultimate first wood magic, the greater the presence of the water elements, the more he felt it. Moreover, there were a large number of plants on the shore. Yi Xin barely gathered her own magical energy and pressed her hands on Yao Qianshu's back. Yao Qianshu's ultimate first wood magic instantly surged, and the first wood magic formation quietly appeared. The Azure Dragon totem surged in the formation. Yao Qianshu pressed both of his hands on Jidong's shoulders, and the magical energy in his body surged without holding back. A thick golden pillar of fire rose almost instantly. Jidong took a big step forward and pulled some distance away from Yao Qianshu. Yao Qianshu's magical energy was transmitted through the air. Although the effect was slightly weaker, it would not be burned by the ultimate yang fire that instantly rose from his body. Amidst the rapidly rising golden flames, the vermilion bird spread its wings and descended. The 3-meter-tall flame monarch body completely shielded Yi Xin and Yao Qianshu behind it. The demon Lord Yinyang armor turned brilliant golden red. Facing the oncoming icicles, Jidong drew a circle with both of his hands, and a huge golden fire dragon came out of his body to meet the oncoming icicles. It was impossible to understand the strength of a powerhouse without a real battle. In mid-air, it seemed that the icicles were broken by Fury's Hell Thunder Divine Axe, as if it was very easy to resist. However, when Jidong came into contact with these icicles, he immediately felt an unparalleled pressure. Every icicle was filled with dense and extremely cold Gue water magical energy. Although his magical energy had been raised to an unprecedented level under the amplification of Yi Xin and Yao Qianshu, it was still very difficult for him to deal with it. Almost every time he blocked an icicle, he had to take a step back, and his flame monarch body also showed signs of instability. This was the difference in strength. After all, he was still a magician who had not reached 5 champions. Although most of the purple ice heavenly demonic snake's attacks were focused on fury, it was still very difficult for him to resist. This terrifying magical beast was only slightly inferior to the thistle lightning fire dragon from before. Furthermore, it was in a situation where it was enraged at its peak, and coupled with the fact that water and fire were incompatible, Jidong was completely suppressed from start. Even if he wanted to use a killing technique, he did not have the time to gather magical energy. The ultimate yang fire kept erupting, and it was very difficult for him to resist. Yao, Qianshu, and Yi Xian naturally felt the pressure that Jidong felt. At this moment, they could not help but admire Fury even more. His previous attack had injured this powerful magical beast. Just when Jidong felt that he could not hold on any longer, the void was torn apart, and an incomparably huge body suddenly appeared in front of him. Powerful bolts of lightning appeared continuously, and in the midst of the intense rumbling, an explosive force bloomed, forcibly blocking the attacks of the icicles. It was the purple thunder heavenly dragon that had arrived in time. Jidong heaved a sigh of relief. His flame monarch body had already been automatically dispelled, and the feeling of being completely suppressed made him feel a little depressed. His brows furrowed slightly. Our strength is not enough. In this 12th level, it is indeed difficult for us to even protect ourselves. We still need to trouble senior brother to take care of us. Just as he was speaking, Yao Qianshu suddenly yelled, "Watch out!" No one knew when, but 3 huge purple icicles silently appeared behind them. They did not pass through the purple thunder heavenly dragon in front of them, and went straight for the backs of the 3 of them. If it were not for Yao Qianshu's ultimate firstwood mana that made use of the surrounding plants to be extremely sensitive to all auras, perhaps the 3 of them would have been completely penetrated in the next moment. The strength of a 9th grade magical beast control over mana was definitely not something they could imagine. Although the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon had also entered the 9th grade, and even possessed the ultimate Yang Thunder mana. In terms of control over mana, there was still a big gap between it and the veteran 9th grade magical beast in front of them. At this moment, Jidong's Flame Monarch body had just ended, and although the mana connection between the 3 of them was still maintained, it was already too late for Jidong to immediately react and block the icicles. Under such circumstances, Yao Qianshu, who was the link, displayed his difference from those despicable and shameless saints of light. He suddenly half-turned, grabbed Yi Xian's arm with one hand, and grabbed Jidong's shoulder with the other. In an instant, he threw both of them towards the back of the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon. At the same time, the condensed Yang Wood array behind them exploded, and the Azure Dragon totem in the array surged out to meet the 3 icicles. Jidong, who was in the air, already felt that something was wrong. The 3 silent icicles were condensed with too much mana. Even if he used the Flame Monarch body, he might not be able to block it with Yao Qianshu's help. Yao Qianshu was not in battle mode, and he was also distracted saving them. How could he release enough mana in time to block it? At this moment, a round body suddenly rolled out from afar and went straight for Yao Qianshu. Chapter 181. Facing the sudden attack from behind, Yao Qianshu stepped forward bravely and threw Jidong, who needed time to gather his mana, and Yi Xian, whose mana was completely suppressed, out of the way. Just as Yao Qianshu was having a hard time defending against the 3 silent icicles, a round fellow appeared in front of everyone. That figure was like a green ball that instantly expanded in the air. Before the icicles could reach him, it appeared directly in front of Yao Qianshu. A terrifying bloody mouth over 20 meters in diameter opened wide. Yao Qianshu's green dragon totem's mana and the 3 icicles completely disappeared in the next moment. Jidong, who was gathering mana in the air to support Yao Qianshu, descended toward the Purple Thunder Brilliant Heavenly Dragon, who couldn't help Yao Qianshu due to the mana suppression, and Yi Xian, who was anxious and Yao Qianshu, who was bursting with mana to block the icicles, couldn't help but fall into a daze. That huge chrysanthemum pig that was over 50 meters tall was facing them with its extremely fat butt. Its curly little tail was wagging, and it looked as funny as it could get. Squeaking sounds came from its mouth continuously, and with a flash of light, it immediately returned to normal. However, after revealing its true form, the chrysanthemum pig's aura naturally spread. The purple ice demonic Jiao Dragon, which was still preparing to fight to the death against the Hell Thunder Divine Axe and the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon, sensed this aura and seemed to be provoked by something. It turned around and wanted to run. Turning around, the chrysanthemum pig looked at Yao Qianshu and said unhappily, "Is there water in your brain? You didn't even see if you had the ability to block it yourself. It's fine if you die, but don't drag this old pig down with you. However, I haven't eaten ice cubes in a long time. They seem to taste pretty good." Yao Qianshu finally snapped out his daze and said, "Damn fat pig. Don't tell me you have indigestion." The chrysanthemum pig snorted and said, "This holy pig has the strongest stomach in the world. What can this little thing do? It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth." As it spoke, it leaped into Yao Qianshu's arms. Yao Qianshu and Ji Dong, who had landed on the ground, looked at each other. Both of them had the same thought. This chrysanthemum pig doesn't seem to be as useless as it said. The speed it displayed just now, in addition to the fact that it swallowed the purple ice demonic Jiao Dragon's attack and used its stomach to digest the demonic skill, were definitely unheard of. The crisis on their side had been resolved. On the other side, the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon had already soared into the sky and pounced straight into the lake. At the same time, Fury had also dealt with the sure kill skill that was attacking him. With the powerful power of the Hell Thunder Divine Axe, the sure kill skill of the Purple Ice Demonic Snake was not able to hurt him even though it was powerful. The Thunder Monarch and the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon's sure kill attack was instantly increased. However, the Purple Demonic Jiao Dragon was fleeing at an astonishing speed. Fury shouted angrily, "Come out!" A strong thunder attribute magic bloomed in the sky. The Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon spread its wings and descended above the lake. Its enlarged body was so huge that it could cover the sky. Its power was shocking. The lightning symbol on the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon's chest left its body and turned into a pure, giant lightning bolt. It didn't attack the Purple Ice Demonic Jiao Dragon that was fleeing at high speed on the lake. Instead, it flew into the sky. The seemingly solid magic fused with the Thunder Monarch's Thunder Divine Axe. No, to be more precise, it was completely devoured by the Thunder Monarch's Thunder Divine Axe. The already huge axe flew out of Fury's hand and expanded in the sky. In the blink of an eye, it had become a giant axe that was 30 meters long. In the sky, the myriad lightning calamity realm fluctuated violently. The air within the range of the Thunder Monarch's Thunder Divine Axe turned into a viscous purple color. Even the turbulence of the lake water seemed to have weakened. With a loud bang, a huge bolt of lightning fell from the sky and bombarded the Hell Thunder Divine Axe. The giant axe didn't slash at the Purple Ice Heavenly Demonic Jiao Dragon. Instead, it swept across the sky and swung the axe in a circular arc. Then, a terrifying scene appeared. The circular space that the Hell Thunder Divine Axe had swept across suddenly collapsed and disappeared without a sound, turning into pure black with a terrifying aura that seemed to come from another world. An unparalleled suction force covered the sky and the earth. The lake water rose in an instant, and the Purple Ice Heavenly Demonic Jiao Dragon that had already plunged into the lake was forcefully pulled out just like that. Chrysanthemum Pig, who had jumped into Yao Qianshu's arms, couldn't help but squint his eyes and smack his lips. He couldn't help but think that he was very hungry for the Thunder Monarch's Thunder Divine Axe. It was only after the Violet Ice Demonic Jiao was completely sucked out of the lake that one could see just how huge its body was. Its body was as thick as a water tank, and its length was more than 30 meters. On its majestic body, There were scales protruding from the two horns on its head all the way to its tail. These scales were filled with a dense chill, and it was struggling violently in panic. The strangest thing was that there were already 4 large lumps protruding from its abdomen. Everyone had done a certain amount of research on the demon sovereigns. Coupled with the characteristics of the purple-iced demonic Jiao dragon, it wasn't difficult to guess what the 4 bumps on its abdomen were. It was clearly a sign that it wasn't long before it could evolve into a dragon. Once its 4 legs appeared, it was very likely that the purple-iced demonic Jiao dragon would be able to evolve into a 10th-order dragon. If that happened, its strength would undergo a tremendous change. However, no matter how great the potential of the purple-iced heavenly demonic Jiao dragon was, everyone could only see fear and panic in its eyes. Its huge body struggled with all its might. Streams of tyrannical gui water light burst out from its body in an attempt to break free from the suction force of the collapsing space. At that moment, the Hell's Thunder Divine Axe hovered in midair and unleashed its full power. With the support of the Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon's demonic energy, the huge Hell's Thunder Divine Axe instantly turned black, and the collapsed black hole in the sky was forcefully sucked in. As the collapsed black hole disappeared, so did the suction force. The purple ice demonic Jiao dragon that was struggling to piece itself together suddenly felt empty. Its terrifyingly heavy body immediately plummeted towards the lake. Meanwhile, the Hell's Thunder Divine Axe that had sucked in the collapsed space had already struck down like a black lightning bolt, leaving behind a dazzling black light in midair. Ji Dong, whose 6 senses were extremely sharp, clearly felt that no sure-kill demonic skill could compare to the reaction that erupted in that instant. Even if it had not reached the level of a sure-kill skill, because it was a single target attack, its power was extremely powerful. It was not inferior to any of the combined attack effects of the Sun, Moon, Yin, and Yang world. This was obviously not something that Fury could achieve with his own strength. At this moment, everyone deeply felt the terrifying power of a divine weapon for the first time. If the effect of the heavenly stem divine weapon was not inferior to the Hell of Thunder Axe, once Ji Dong and Yao Qianshu obtained it, their strength would be enough to multiply. The existence of a divine weapon would definitely surpass the level of a magical beast companion. The violet ice demonic Jiao dragon was currently in the process of falling from the sky. Although it was a powerful Class 9 magical beast that had the potential to reach Class 10, the sky was a forbidden zone for it. It could not fly at all, so its tremendous weight caused it to plummet violently. Right now, its huge body had left the surface of the water. Without the assistance of the water, its strength would decrease slightly. The suction force from the Hell's Thunder Divine Axe also paralyzed its entire body. Fury's attack could be described as a fusion of his rank 74 Yang lightning magic, the violet lightning brilliant dragon's demonic energy, and the power of the divine lightning axe. The 3 fused together to produce such a terrifying attack. It could no longer be described as a lightning-attributed demonic skill. It possessed the destructive energy of space collapsing and shattering. It had to be mentioned that Fury and the Violet Lightning Brilliant Dragon were existences equivalent to Class 9 magical beasts. When the 2 of them worked together, the power would multiply, not to mention that they had the support of a god artifact. The Violet Ice Demonic Jiao Dragon clearly sensed the powerful presence of death. In that moment of life and death, the Class 9 magical beast completely erupted with its life force. It raised its head and spat out its Niden once again. This time, the Niden directly flashed to the center of its horns. 2 strands of violet water-attributed magic connected it to the horns, and a tremendous amount of magic pulsed in the air. A violet ice crystal floated out, directly flying into the air with the serpent's orb. It just happened to block the black bolt of lightning. The violet crystal did not seem large, but it contained the entire serpent's orb, as well as all the magic the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon had condensed in a moment of desperation. The moment the black bolt of lightning collided with the violet crystal, it immediately turned black. Afterwards, a bolt of lightning that was several times smaller passed through the crystal and landed on the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon. The violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon was definitely not the opponent of the Lightning Emperor and the violet lightning radiant dragon. It shrieked miserably as dazzling bolts of black lightning immediately erupted from its body. They scattered in all directions, causing its entire body to tremble violently. Clearly, the demonic energy of the yang lightning had invaded its body. The purple thunder, dazzling heavenly dragon turned its body halfway and swept its huge dragon tail out, heavily striking the purple ice heavenly demonic Jiao Dragon's body. The huge body of the purple ice heavenly demonic Jiao Dragon was sent flying to the shore. The black crystal in the air quickly melted away, leaving behind only the serpent's orb. The Hell's Thunder Divine axe shrank and returned to Fury's hand. He swung it towards the serpent's orb, and another bolt of lightning fell from the sky. The struggling serpent's orb trembled violently as it was drawn back into Fury's grasp. Boom! The violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon's huge body smashed through several dozen trees before coming to a stop. Black lightning still flickered all over its body. After being struck by the Hell's Thunder Divine axe and losing its serpent's orb, it was clearly no longer able to attack. The battle was over. The Class 9 magical beast seemed to have been dealt with very easily, but Fury did not have it easy at all. If it were not for the fact that the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon had panicked and tried to escape, he would not have been able to find such a good opportunity. He had not even allowed the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon to unleash its true power before it was heavily injured by his three-pronged attack. Ji Dong did not look at the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon. Instead, his gaze landed on the chrysanthemum pig in Yao Qinshu's arms. Chrysanthemum pig, this violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon seems to be afraid of you? The chrysanthemum pig said proudly, "Of course. These puny Class 9 magical beasts are incomparable to this pig. How could it not be afraid after sensing my presence? Without me, would you have been able to catch it so easily? Hurry up and thank me. Give me some reward. It'd be best if I could eat it." Ji Dong's gaze was still filled with doubt. The violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon's strength was quite powerful. Furthermore, from the strength it had displayed when facing them, it should not have turned tail and run as soon as it sensed the aura of a Class 10 magical beast. At that time, it had not even seen the chrysanthemum pig's existence, and its reaction was a little too sensitive. If Ji Dong had carefully sensed the aura of a Class 10 magical beast, he would have discovered that although the aura of the chrysanthemum pig was full of pressure, it did not have a powerful destructive aura. This was also the reason why Ji Dong was certain that the chrysanthemum pig was a magical beast without any offensive power. Magi with extreme magic were extremely sensitive to other people's magic. Yao Qinshu had once used the same source of magic to carefully sense the changes in the chrysanthemum pig's magic. It was indeed an extremely special existence. Even as a firstwood saint, he could not understand why there was such a state of magic. There was only a huge amount of life force, but not a huge amount of offensive magic. It was as if the chrysanthemum pig's body was completely condensed from life force. Fury descended from the sky with the serpent's orb in his hand. The purple lightning heavenly dragon landed on the ground and extended its two huge dragon claws, grabbing the back of the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon and the middle of its body. The already heavily injured Class 9 magical beast no longer had any ability to resist. A huge amount of lightning-attributed magic was poured out, completely paralyzing its body. Fury leapt down from the back of the purple lightning heavenly dragon. The Hell Thunder Divine axe turned into a streak of purple light and returned to the third eye on his forehead. Even the calm and tough Fury could not hide the excitement on his face. This was the first time he had truly used the Hell Thunder Divine axe, a divine weapon, and he had captured a Class 9 magical beast. This was a glorious achievement that he had never achieved before. Most importantly, he did not use up much of his magic after capturing the violet ice demonic Jiao Dragon. This was the terrifying effect of a god artifact. Jidong, Yi Xin, and Yao Qianshu flew to Fury's side. They watched as the serpent's orb in his hand gradually turned purple and began to throb. Yi Xin struggled to hide the excitement in her eyes. As the second-ranked expert of the Yinyang Hall, she had always desired a magical beast of her own, but she was unwilling to accept a Class 6 or 7 magical beast so easily. She finally had a good choice now. Chapter 182. Aside from Yi Xin, there were a few other people in the Yinyang Hall who had also reached rank 60. They all had their own magical beast companions, which greatly increased their strength. It was just that the battle between the Saint Demonic Saints was about to begin, and Yi Xin had an ambiguous relationship with Fury, so no one dared to challenge her. In reality, Yi Xion's position as number 2 in the Yinyang Hall was not stable. If she had this Class 9 magical beast as her mount, what would she have to worry about? Everyone had already witnessed the strength of the Violet Ice Heavenly Serpent. It was an absolutely terrifying strength. With it, even without Fury by her side, no one in the entire Heavenly STEM Academy would be able to threaten Yi Xion's position. The lightning in Fury's hand constantly fluctuated violently, forcefully restraining the serpent's orb. Without the orb, the Violet Ice Heavenly Serpent had already lost all of its might under the control of the Violet Thunder Heavenly Dragon. It crawled on the ground and looked at everyone in fear. Fury growled, "Violet Ice Heavenly Serpent, as a Class 9 magical beast, your intelligence is enough to understand what we're saying. You have 2 choices right now. One is to become a contract companion with my lover. That way, not only will I return the orb to you, I will also take you away from this place. As for the second choice, it's even simpler. I'll let you eat the orb of your orb. It'll benefit her cultivation quite a bit, and then I'll kill you. The body of a Class 9 magical beast is very valuable. If you choose the first choice, nod your head. I'll count to 10. If you don't nod your head within 10, then choose the second choice." To everyone's surprise, this Purple Ice Heavenly Demonic Jiao's character wasn't very good. Before Fury could count, it was already nodding its head and looking at Yi Xian with a pitiful look in its eyes. What happened next was much easier. Without any resistance, even though there was a large gap between Yi Xian's and the Violet Ice Heavenly Serpent's magical powers, they were still able to complete the contract. Yi Xian did not sign a master-servant contract with the Violet Ice Heavenly Serpent just because its life was in her hands. She still chose to sign the contract as an equal. Although a master-servant contract was good, it could not make the magical beast work together with her. Only by using the carrot and stick method could the magical beast and demon master have a higher compatibility. I'll call you Bing Bing from now on. Yi Xian raised her hand and gently stroked the huge head of the Violet Ice Demonic Serpent. Her face was filled with excitement and satisfaction, just like a teenage girl. It was no wonder that she was like this. Any demon master would also be this excited to have a Class 9 magical beast as a mount, not to mention that this Class 9 magical beast could evolve into a Class 10 magical beast in the near future. This was already the best foundation for Yi Xian to become a sovereign expert in the future. It would be a lie to say that Ji Dong was not envious. He also hoped to have such a powerful magical beast as his mount. However, his current strength was not enough to achieve this. "Little junior brother, do you really have no hope of breaking through? This is a rare opportunity." Fury Hyoheim asked. Ji Dong shook his head. "Senior brother, let's forget about it this time. I don't want to spoil things through excessive enthusiasm." Fury spoke. "Little junior brother, if you miss this opportunity, you'll have to wait for another 5 years. The biggest difference between the magical beasts on the Evil Island and the outside world is their potential to evolve. Here, even the most ordinary Class 3 magical beast can evolve into a Class 10 magical beast if they have enough time and luck. This is the biggest difference between the magical beasts on the Evil Island and the outside world. Only a few magical beasts on the continent can do this." Ji Dong smiled faintly. "Senior brother, I can't afford to wait for 5 years. I hope that I can accumulate enough strength to make a breakthrough. I believe that after 5 years, I will definitely be able to obtain a powerful magical beast companion. Moreover, I hope that at that time, I can rely on my own strength to obtain the recognition of my magical beast companion. Fury Hyoheim gave a thumbs up. Good, you're ambitious. Since that's the case, let's go back and rest. The 12th floor is the territory of Class 9 magical beasts. Your strength is not enough to deal with a Class 9 magical beast sneak attack. If something happens, we'll lose more than we gain. Although we haven't been on the 12th floor for long, we've gained quite a lot. Not only has the Xin obtained a magical beast companion, Qianshu has also obtained a Class 10 magical beast. Yao Qianshu sighed rather helplessly. He looked at the chrysanthemum pig in his arms that had begun to drool and sleep at some point, before looking at Yi Xin's majestic figure. Yi Xin's violetized demonic serpent was still displaying its strength despite being heavily injured. He could not help but feel a sense of helplessness. Jidong also looked at the chrysanthemum pig. For some reason, he felt rather strange in his heart. He felt that although the chrysanthemum pig could not attack, it was not as simple as it seemed. Just its ability to devour magical skills was already rather wondrous. If it could devour the skills of Class 9 magical beasts, wouldn't it be able to devour any long-range attack from magical beasts lower than Class 9? Yi Xin sent the violetized demonic serpent into his contracted space, while everyone sat back on the violet lightning radiant dragon. The dragon rose into the air, quickly taking them away from the 12th floor. Only when they had completely left the 12th floor did all the magical beasts on the 12th floor become lively again. They all did the same thing, gasping for air as they all looked in the direction that the violet lightning radiant dragon had disappeared in. Lingering fear appeared in the eyes of every single Class 9 magical beast. The violet lightning radiant dragon flew all the way back to the 8th floor and reunited with the Heavenly Stems army. There were only 10 days left until the end of the battle. In the next 10 days, the Heavenly Stems army completely cleared out all the magical beasts on the 8th floor under Fury's lead. With Fury's terrifying strength, a large number of magical beasts were cleared out and their crystal cores were collected. Every single Demon Master obtained at least a Class 6 crystal core, which was a joyous occasion. They even killed their way into the 9th and 10th floors and obtained even higher grade crystal cores. Fury would not easily share these crystal cores with others, mainly keeping them for himself and Jidong. Everyone hunted the magical beasts while searching for traces of the Demon Masters from the 5 Elements continent. Compared to crystal cores, there was no doubt that crystal cores were more valuable. Unfortunately, they did not find anything. The Demon Masters from the 5 Elements continent seemed to have vanished into thin air, never to be seen again. After the battle with the ultimate weapon, Li Yonghao, Fury was still a little worried about Li Yonghao's sudden increase in strength. However, his magic power had evolved into ultimate magic power. The Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon had been upgraded to the 9th level, and he had also mastered the Thunderhell Divine Axe. It was not the first time that a Dark Continent magician chose to preserve his strength. After listening to Chrysanthemum Pig's description of the core 5 levels of the Holy Evil Island, he completely gave up the idea of sweeping the Holy Evil Island and marching into the Dark Continent, at least for a long time. Based on the results of the previous battle, the outcome of the battle between Holy and Evil was already without a doubt. Therefore, Fury also chose to preserve his strength and did not insist on finding the Demon Masters of the Darkness Continent. Finally, the 4th day of the battle between the Holy Evil and Holy Evil had arrived. In the sky, the myriad lightning calamity realm was violently fluctuating. A huge demonic aura was circulating in the air. Just like when they entered the Holy Evil Passage, everyone lost the ability to move. Between the heaven and the earth, an incomparably huge aura locked on every human on the Holy Evil Island. It was the same for the 5 Elements continent of light and the 5 Elements continent of dark. In the sky, a majestic heavenly rod that could not be described with words quietly appeared. The heavenly rod was half black and half white, and an unimaginable aura of light and darkness suddenly burst out from it. It seemed to be a huge energy that froze everyone's ability to move. Among the demon masters on the Five Elements continent side, only Ji Dong had a different feeling. He could clearly sense that the sacred sky centipede's body was filled with chaos chi. It didn't seem to have any attributes, but it was the most fundamental chaos chi. If he had to find a reference, then the heaven jade that he had absorbed should have the same aura. Spots of light constantly flew out from the bodies of the demon masters and fell into the heavenly rod. Without any suspense, the white side continued to sink, raising the black side high up. This was the true scale of victory. On the side of the Five Elements continent, the one who had the most spots of light flying out from his body was undoubtedly the Thunder Emperor Fury. As the leader of the Heavenly Stems Legion that had entered the holy evil battlefield, the number of demon masters and magical beasts that had died at his hands was the highest. However, what surprised everyone was that the person who had the second most spots of light was not the powerhouses of the Heavenly Stems Legion that had magic power over level 60 and had magical beasts as mounts, nor was it the top 10 of the Yin Yang school. It was Ji Dong, wearing the demon Lord Yin Yang armor. A dark red halo constantly circulated on this demigod rank armor. Spots of light of different sizes were constantly emitted from his body and flew towards the holy evil rod. The number of spots was astounding. These spots of light represented the number of demon masters he had killed, while the smaller ones represented the number of magical beasts he had killed. Ji Dong had used his strength and valiant attacks to tell everyone what kind of position he had in the holy evil battle. It must be known that he was only 16 years old this year. Even if it was Fury, when he was 16 years old, he definitely did not have such a glorious battle record. Some of the demon masters of the Heavenly Stems Legion who had foresight faintly felt that in the near future, perhaps Ji Dong would be the only one who could replace Fury's position. Of course, Fury was only 30 years old, and there was still a long time before he could not enter the holy evil battle until he was 50 years old. However, who could say what the future would be like? The binding in the air gradually weakened, and the color of the holy evil rod became completely white. A white light descended from the sky, and a path as wide as the holy evil passageway appeared. At the same time, behind them, the holy evil passageway also opened. At this moment, if he wanted to attack the Five Elements continent, he could do so through these two passageways. This was the right of the winner of the holy evil battle. Fury raised his head and looked at the sky. His eyes were filled with an intense divine light. His gaze was filled with the aura of a powerhouse. He stood proudly on the head of the purple thunder heavenly dragon, looking at the milky white passageway in the distance. How he wished that one day he could lead the army of the Five Elements continent into the Darkness continent through this passageway, completely annihilating the other side and unifying the two continents. But he also knew that this was not an easy task. Even without the existence of the Holy Evil Island, this was an almost impossible task. Although his desire to conquer the other side was strong, he did not want to see the lives of the other side plunged into misery and suffering. In this 49 days of the holy evil battle, Fury's harvest could be said to be the greatest. Not only did he obtain the Hell Thunder Divine Axe, but his own demonic power had also evolved into the unprecedented extreme Yang Thunder. The Purple Thunder Heavenly Dragon had also evolved to the 9th rank, and its strength could be said to have increased by several times. Furthermore, he had regained Yi Xion's heart and led the Heavenly Stem army to defeat the Five Elements continent. This was already the 3rd time he had achieved this. In the history of the holy evil battle, he had once again left a strong mark on his name. Ji Dong also raised his head and looked at the holy evil pole that was gradually fading. This time, he had also obtained a huge harvest in the holy evil battle. Under a coincidental situation, he had used a powerful demonic skill that was close to a super ultimate skill. Furthermore, through obtaining the Heaven Jade, which was comparable to a divine artifact, his Yin and Yang fire demonic power had fused together, achieving a true fusion. Although the level of his demonic power did not increase by much, the quality of his chaotic flame had increased by leaps and bounds. He had also obtained many crystal cores and crystal crowns, all of which were great wealth. He had already thought about it. After leaving the holy evil battlefield, the first thing he would do would be to meet the flaming bar at the Earth's core. Then he would bury the golden-armored woman who was sealed in the profound ice, and then he would pay his respects to his parents in this world. Yao Qianshu stood beside Jidong. His gaze fell on Fury, who was on the back of the purple thunder, dazzling heavenly dragon. He was in a dilemma, not because of the chrysanthemum pig in his bosom, but because of the words heavenly stem, holy disciple. He didn't expect that his trip to the holy evil island would end up like this. He still couldn't let go of Ao, Feng, and the others. After all, the words heavenly stem, holy disciple had existed in his heart for a long time. Although he loved money and was a little stingy, every young man had their own dreams of being a hero. He naturally hoped that he would be the one to lead the experts to victory. Chapter 183. The chrysanthemum holy pig was lying comfortably in Yao Qianshu's arms. Its eyes were looking towards the depths of the holy evil island. A strange light flashed in its small eyes, and an evil smirk appeared at the corner of its mouth. No one knew what it was thinking, but a faint layer of white flashed in its eyes. The battle between the holy and evil that was held once every 5 years had come to an end. Of course, this was only for the radiant 5 elements continent. The next time the holy and evil passageway opened would be 5 years later. Li Yonghao stood at the peak of a mountain. The holy and evil path behind him had already been opened. A huge black dragon lifted his body 30 meters above the ground. His hands were behind his back as he looked into the distance. Another battle between holy and evil had ended. He was the same as Fury. He had also participated in 3 battles between holy and evil. In terms of age, he was about the same as Fury. In the 3 battles between holy and evil, he had lost to Fury 3 times. However, there was no sign of a loser in his eyes. His black eyes were filled with a deep and wise light. Behind Li Yonghao, 9 people stood in a row, each of them releasing a different powerful aura. Those were the purest energy undulations that belonged to the ultimate mana. Their gazes were the same as Li Yonghao's. Facing the heavenly centipede, they didn't show any sorrow. On the contrary, one could vaguely see the excitement and fighting spirit in their eyes. 5 years, there are still 5 years left. Fury, do you know? I am very lucky to be the leader of the 1,000-year plan of the Dark 5 Elements continent. It has been 15 years, and I have lost 3 times against you. Do you know how much I want to defeat you? But I can't do that. For the sake of the 1,000-year plan, I have to wait. No matter how much I suffer, no matter what price I have to pay, I have to wait until that day comes. After 1,000 years, the efforts of 18 generations of dark divination will finally be completed. 5 years later, it will be the time for us to decide the winner. You have already obtained that divine weapon, right? At that time, let us fight fair and square. I will definitely let you know what the real ultimate weapon is. There were only 5 dark heavenly apostles that Li Yonghao and the 5 Elements Continent's demon masters had seen on the holy evil battlefield. But now, all of them were standing here. Every one of the 9 dark saints standing behind Li Yonghao could feel the incomparably vast and sharp aura from Li Yonghao's clothes. Even though they all had ultimate mana, they still couldn't help but take a step back. Yes, they were all lucky. The 1,000-year plan fell on their generation, and the dark saints came into being. Scorpion quietly looked at Li Yonghao, who was not far away from him, and could not help but think of that violent or cold figure again. Vaguely, he did not compare Li Yonghao to Fury, the Thunder Emperor. Instead, he compared Li Yonghao to the guy who had not even reached level 50, but had almost killed him several times. Although he knew very well that there was no comparison at all, and that guy was far inferior to his big brother, he still made such a comparison in his heart. Barbarian, we will meet again in 5 years. If you appear on the battlefield of this continent at that time, I'm afraid you will not be able to leave alive. I will definitely end your life with my own hands. 5 years. Within 5 years, I will definitely cultivate with all my might, and I will definitely surpass you. Thunder Emperor, Thunder Emperor. The shore of the radiant Five Elements continent was already filled with jubilation. All the warriors of the Heavenly Stem's Legion and the soldiers of the Five Empires stationed on the radiant Five Elements continent were gathered at the shore at this moment. Their armors were bright, and their weapons and spears were in great numbers. Everywhere was filled with a dense metallic luster. Although they could not see the situation on the holy evil battlefield, the moment the holy evil Tianho appeared, they could clearly see the direction in which the Tianho had tilted. Without a doubt, this holy evil battle had ended with the victory of the Radiant faction. They were all cheering the name of the hero in their hearts. The Radiant Five Dragons and the board members of the Heavenly STEM Academy stood closest to the shore, gazing at the reopened holy evil passageway. The Radiant Five Dragons did not conceal the excitement in their eyes, while the board members of the Heavenly STEM Academy had a complicated look in their eyes. Although Fury did not hold any substantial position in any of the countries, in reality, he was incomparably popular among the upper echelons of the various countries. After all, almost all the high-ranking officers of the various countries had been stationed here before. These 3 consecutive victories had pushed Fury's popularity to an unattainable peak. However, the current Thunder Emperor was no longer the pride of the Heavenly STEM Academy, nor was he the chief disciple of the Yin Yang Hall. How could these people who held real power in the Heavenly STEM Academy feel good in their hearts? The huge figure of the Purple Thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, finally appeared at the exit of the holy evil passageway. In an instant, the cheers of hundreds of thousands of people rose to the peak. At this moment, the cheers actually covered the sounds of the sea, and the air continuously reverberated with the names of the Thunder Emperor. When the board members of the Heavenly STEM Academy saw Fury sitting on the back of the Purple Thunder, brilliant heavenly dragon, and Yi Xen in his arms, their faces couldn't help but become even more unsightly. The stone dragon, Song Ruelong, was the first to welcome him. When Fury descended from the back of the Purple Thunder heavenly dragon and landed on the ground, Yi Xen automatically stepped aside. Fury and Song Ruelong's muscular body hugged each other. There was no need for any more words. The intense hug that even caused the cracking of bones was enough to explain everything. The 5 radiant dragons hugged Fury. The entire shore had already turned into a sea of joy. Every mage that participated in the battle of the holy and evil received a hero's welcome. However, no one noticed that there were 2 people who immediately sped up after reaching the shore. They quickly left the shore, leaving the cheering and clamoring. Before the holy evil passageway opened again, Jidong had already told Fury his plan. He didn't need to celebrate, and he didn't like those kinds of scenes. Therefore, after leaving the holy evil island, he immediately left the group with Yao Qianshu and quietly went far away. Lan Baoer stood quietly among the magicians of the Yinyang school, watching Jidong leave. Just now, Jidong had said his goodbyes to her. She didn't try to make him stay. Watching him leave, this kind girl could only silently bless him. She knew that this man didn't belong to her. Qianshu, what are your plans? Without the huge pressure of the myriad lightning tribulation, even a simple breath made Jidong feel indescribably comfortable. He and Yao Qianshu stopped about 20 li away from the shore. Yao Qianshu sighed with a heavy heart. Jidong, I really didn't expect Ao Feng and the others to be like this. However, we are after all the Heavenly STEM holy disciples. It shouldn't be like this. I plan to make a trip to Tianji City first. I want to ask Tianji why such a situation happened. The Heavenly STEM holy disciples should be heroes, not despicable and shameless people. You can come with me. Jidong shook his head. I'm sorry, Qianshu. I can't go with you. I know you don't feel good, but some things can't be forced. Actually, you've been mistaken. Are you saying that if you're not a Heavenly STEM holy disciple, you can't fight for our continent? You've already done very well in the holy evil battle. You didn't associate yourself with those arrogant, selfish, and ignorant people. No one knows what the future holds. I still have a lot of things to do, so I can't go with you to Tianji City. I've always believed that if you want to control the world, you must first control yourself. As long as we keep our hearts and make ourselves stronger, then we can talk about other things. To be honest, even though we both have ultimate demonic powers, with our current strength, can we really do anything? Not to mention those supreme being powerhouses. Even if we were to compare ourselves to Senior Brother, we're still far, far away. Yao Qianshu nodded and said, "You're right. Only by making myself stronger and guarding my heart can I do other things. After I've gone to search for the mysteries of heaven, I'll work hard to cultivate." Ji Dong, when will we meet again? Ji Dong smiled and said, "If we're fated, then maybe we'll meet again soon. If we're not fated, then 5 years from now, we'll definitely meet again in the holy evil battlefield. We won't waste our ultimate mana for nothing, right?" Yao Qianshu said, "All right, then let's make an appointment for 5 years. 5 years from now, on the eve of the battle between the holy and evil saints, we'll meet again here. We'll fight the holy evil island again. I won't let you surpass me in 5 years." Ji Dong smiled. "Then you have to work hard. My cultivation speed is very fast. Why are you guys talking so much nonsense?" "I'm hungry, Yao Qianshu, I'm hungry." The chrysanthemum pig wriggled in Yao Qianshu's embrace and spoke with dissatisfaction. Yao Qianshu revealed a helpless expression and smiled bitterly. "You stupid pig head, all you know is to eat. Didn't you eat 4 class 6 magical beasts before leaving the holy evil island? What else can you do besides eat?" The chrysanthemum pig snorted. "You said it yourself. That was before we left the holy evil island. Not now. Are you not going to give me food? Let's go, I'm hungry. Ji Dong gave the chrysanthemum pig a deep look, then glanced at Yao Qianshu. "Take good care of this pig. It's not bad as a shield. Let's say our goodbyes here. We'll meet again in 5 years." Yao Qianshu knocked the chrysanthemum pig's head and smiled bitterly. "I really don't know if this pig head is a sin from my previous life. Ji Dong, take care. Take care." With that, Ji Dong rose up and flew off into the distance. After a while, he had already disappeared from Yao Qianshu's sight. "Stop looking, I'm hungry." The chrysanthemum pig protested again. Yao Qianshu knocked the pig's head angrily. "You're going to starve to death, you pig. Can you understand my mood?" The chrysanthemum pig said angrily, "You dare to knock my head, you're dead. What mood can you have? Aren't you still disappointed and frustrated? What great things can you do with such a tangled mentality? How could I be blind to choose you as a partner? If that kid called Ji Dong was a firstwood type, I wouldn't bother with you. Compared to him, you're far worse. You have the nerve to say that you won't be surpassed in 5 years. He has the chaotic force as a backing. Who knows how much faster his cultivation speed is than yours?" Yao Qianshu couldn't help but be stunned by the chrysanthemum pig's words. "Chaotic force? What's that?" The chrysanthemum pig snorted. "Someone seemed to have knocked my head just now. What should I do?" Yao Qianshu said anxiously. "Can I eat until I'm full? Tell me, what is the chaotic force? What does this have to do with our magic power?" The chrysanthemum pig said proudly. "Now you know to ask this holy pig? You said it. Let me eat until I'm full. The so-called chaotic force is the most original power left when the world was created at the beginning of chaos. If anyone can really master this original power, then it will become..." Speaking of this, it also deliberately kept him guessing. "Become what?" Yao Qianshu asked. The chrysanthemum pig said, "Become a god." That Ji Dong has the embryonic form of the chaotic fire. Although it is not strong and can't be used, it has already helped him to perfectly reconcile yin and yang. Not to mention you, even that Thunder Emperor can't compare with him after 5 years. What's more, this kid has her aura. "Whose aura?" Yao Qianshu asked doubtfully. The chrysanthemum pig shook its head and said, "I can't tell you this. It's not time for you to know yet. You should work hard on your cultivation. Don't look for that heavenly secrets. If you also want to have the chaotic force, then I'll bring you to a place. Whether you can obtain it or not will depend on your fate." Yao Qianshu said doubtfully, "You should have never left the holy evil island, right? How do you know about the mainland?" The chrysanthemum pig snorted and said, "You dare to look down on this holy pig? Since this holy pig is a delicious pig, I naturally a good nose. The chaotic chi also has a smell. Even if I can't see it, can I smell it? Oh, right, you just said to let me eat until I'm full. I don't ask for much. As long as it's food, I'll reluctantly make do with 10,000 kilograms. It's 10,000 kilograms per meal. If Jidong heard what the chrysanthemum pig said, he would definitely be shocked. He would definitely be able to guess that the chrysanthemum pig mentioned was referring to the flaming bar. After separating from Yao Qianshu, Jidong ran as fast as he could. After running for a full 50 li, he finally stopped and found an enemy that no one was paying attention to. His breathing became a little ragged, not because of the physical exhaustion from running, but because of the name that he called out in the next moment that he yearned for even in his dreams. Flaming Bar. Chapter 184. A warm feeling spread in his chest. Jidong's heart was burning hot like never before. How long has it been since I last saw her? Looking at the dazzling red lotus petals rising around him, Jidong clenched his fists subconsciously and shouted her name crazily in his heart. The scenery around him gradually became blurry and distorted in a familiar way. Everything around him was changing. Under the gentle and beautiful red light, he finally arrived at the world filled with fire elements again. At this moment, Jidong no longer felt the discomfort he had when he first came here. The thick fire element only brought him an infinite sense of pleasure. It was as if every cell in his body was moaning in comfort along with his breathing. Even the rising chaotic fire had become a bit more intense. As his feet landed on the ground, the red light around him gradually faded. Jidong appeared at a corner of the Earth's core rock. At first glance, he did not see the figure that he yearned for day and night. However, his gaze was instantly attracted by something at the center of the Earth's core rock. At the center of the Earth's core rock, there was a huge egg. Jidong could vaguely recognize that this huge egg was the fire dragon's egg that he had taken from Frost in the flaming bar. However, this fire dragon's egg had undergone an earth-shattering change. The entire fire dragon's egg was more than twice as big as before. The most peculiar thing was that this fire dragon's egg was no longer red, but black in gold patterns. Compared to its original appearance, it looked much more noble and mysterious. However, it did not emit any strong aura. All the mana waves were completely restrained. However, the black and gold mageweds on the dragon's egg were so clear and mysterious. It was the existence of these mageweds that caused all the fire elements in the entire Earth's core lake to lose their color. Around the huge egg, there were a total of 10 lotus-shaped stones. They were cyan, dark green, red, blue, yellow, gray, platinum, black, and purple. Apart from their colors, their appearances were exactly the same. Even their sizes were the same. These 10 mystical stones emitted a dense, colorful light that formed a thin layer of light that enveloped the giant egg. Jidong's heart couldn't help but tremble when he saw this light barrier. This was because even though this light barrier was very thin, it gave him the exact same feeling as the 5 elemental yin-yang world that Bright Radiance, Gone Saint, and her had released together. This strange film was continuously absorbing the fire elements in the Earth's core lava lake and completely filtering them, forming countless tiny gold and black light spots that fused into the dragon's egg. Jidong took a few steps forward. As he got closer, he could feel the aura of the yin-yang world of the 5 elements even more clearly. Although the yin-yang world of the 5 elements was not specifically targeted at him, when he got closer, he could still feel the demonic energy of the yin and yang flames in his body being instantly suppressed. The light of the yin and yang fish in his body dimmed, and only the flames of chaos continued to burn. As he got closer, he could see that at each of the 4 corners of the dragon's egg, there was a crystal core. 2 were black, while the other 2 were gold. Each crystal core emitted a misty light that was about half a meter in diameter. The demonic energy emitted by these 4 crystal cores resonated with the yin-yang world of the 5 elements. The reason why the yin-yang world of the five elements was able to filter the fire elements from the outside seemed to be directly related to them. Furthermore, their own demonic energy aura continued to fuse into the dragon's egg in the center. Needless to say, Ji-dong could also guess the origin of these things. The 10 strange stones that were carved into the shape of lotus flowers were the 5 elements divine stones that the flaming bar had requested from the soaring serpent. Their current appearance was obviously the work of the flaming bar. As for the 4 crystal cores, they must be 4 rank 10 darkness, light, yin, and yang dual elemental crystal cores. Looking at the scene in front of him, Ji-dong came to a sudden realization. It turned out that the flaming bar had requested those things from the soaring serpent for this dragon's egg. With the nourishment of so many treasures, this dragon's egg was no longer as simple as a fire dragon's egg. At this moment, the flaming bar's heavenly voice rang softly in Ji-dong's ear. This fire dragon's egg has been stored in the frost for a long time and has been invaded by the frost. Its essence has been damaged to a certain extent. I used my own magic and the pure fire element in the magma lake to purify its frost, then infused it with yin and yang dual elemental magic to nourish it. Now, with the 5 elements yin-yang world and the 4 crystal cores, I have turned the dual fire element in it into the purest form, allowing it to receive the power of the origin of chaos. This will allow this little fellow to return to its most basic form. When it fuses with you, it will naturally have the greatest compatibility with you, even surpassing that of the Eclipse Phoenix. Furthermore, it will also have special qualities that no magical beast has. As long as you use the flames of chaos to ignite its origin of chaos, then it will have the foundation to evolve into a holy beast. Flaming Bar. Before seeing the flaming bar, Ji-dong had 1,000 things he wanted to say to her. However, when he saw the flaming bar, he realized that he could not say a single word, especially when he saw the faint smile on the flaming bar's exquisite face. He felt as if something was stuck in his throat. His emotions had reached an extreme level. Ever since he had met the flaming bar, this was the longest time that Ji-dong had been separated from the flaming bar. Having lived 2 lives, he had never imagined that he would miss someone so much. When he saw the flaming bar, he did not even hear what the flaming bar had said. His mind was blank, and his heart was on fire like an erupting lava. The flaming bar stopped talking when she saw the dancing flames in Ji-dong's eyes. Her heart was filled with countless strange emotions when she saw Ji-dong again. It was as if Ji-dong had never missed anyone like this. It had been countless years since she had gained consciousness, but this was the first time she had felt such a strange, indescribable feeling in her heart. She took a step forward instinctively and smiled like 100 flowers blooming. Ji-dong was intoxicated. He reached out his hand and gestured gently. Ji-dong, you seem to have grown taller again. Ji-dong's hands rose up uncontrollably and grabbed the flaming bar's raised hands tightly. As the empress of the core world and the master of the chaotic flames, the flaming bar felt a strong heat from Ji-dong's palms. The heat was transmitted to the depths of her heart, causing her to be unable to speak. She could feel Ji-dong's hands and body trembling. The trembling was transmitted to the flaming bar's heart through the heat from his hands. What kind of longing was this? When Ji-dong really opened his mouth to speak, Raging Flame discovered that his voice was already hoarse and trembling, and even the rims of his eyes were tinged with a faint redness. Flaming Bar, promise me that you'll never leave me for such a long time again, all right? If you go into closed-door cultivation again, no matter how long it takes, let me be by your side. Even if it's 100 years, I'm willing to protect you. Flaming Bar's hands were warm and soft. They were like the finest white jade and milk jelly. Her soft and boneless fingers were in Ji-dong's hands. Ji-dong's heart beat at least a few times faster. Hearing Ji-dong's trembling voice, the flaming bar replied without hesitation. All right, I promise you. I'll never let you leave me for such a long time again. My Ji-dong is becoming more and more outstanding. If I let you leave me for too long and someone else takes you away from me, I'll be sad. No, definitely not. Ji-dong said firmly. There's no room for another woman in my heart. The flaming bar pouted her red lips and said, What if you meet a woman who's even more beautiful than me? You won't? No, not to mention that it's impossible for there to be another woman as perfect as you in this world. Even if there is, it has nothing to do with me. You're the goddess in my heart. At that very moment, Ji-dong wanted so badly to say those words to the flaming bar. However, when he raised his head and looked into the flaming bar's clear and pure eyes and the flawless face of the flaming bar, he could not say those words. A feeling of inferiority kept surging in his heart. Whether it was in terms of ability or appearance, he was not on the same level as the flaming bar. It could even be said that they were worlds apart. Could he really say those words to her? What if he said those words and the flaming bar rejected him? If that was the case, he was afraid that he would never be able to see her again. She was so sacred, so beautiful, just like a flame fairy. Ji-dong did not dare to take the risk. He really did not dare to take the risk. This time, he had been separated from the flaming bar for more than a year. He deeply understood how important the flaming bar was to him. If he really lost her and could never see her again, then it would be no different from dying in this life. He swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue in the end. However, he refused to let go of the flaming bar's hand no matter what. Ji-dong, do you like me? At that moment, the flaming bar bit her red lips and asked softly in a very low voice. Even though her voice was not loud, as a dual flame fiend master, Ji-dong's hearing was extremely sharp. His body immediately stiffened. He stared at the flaming bar in a daze, unable to speak. A trace of panic appeared in the flaming bar's beautiful eyes. She pulled her hand out of Ji-dong's grasp and said, "Don't you like me?" No, of course I like you. Of course I like you. You're the only woman I've ever liked." Flaming bar. Ji-dong finally reacted and hurriedly tried to explain himself. Looking at Ji-dong's shocked expression, the flaming bar giggled and said, "That's more like it. However, since you like me, I have a condition. If you're not willing to agree to it, I'll deprive you of your right to like me." "I agree. I'll agree to any condition," Ji-dong said without hesitation. He was extremely intelligent, but for some reason, whenever he saw the flaming bar, his brain would become abnormally sluggish. The flaming bar chuckled and said, "Fool, I haven't even said what my condition is, and you've already agreed. What if I ask you to die?" "Then I'll die." Ji-dong's reply stunned the flaming bar because he did not even think about it. His eyes were filled with determination. "I'm sorry, I was just joking." For some reason, looking at Ji-dong's current state, the flaming bar felt a stabbing pain in her heart. She realized that she was becoming more and more human-like. She took the initiative to pull Ji-dong's right hand and said, "My condition is very difficult. Since you like me, then my condition is that you can only like me forever. You can never have any feelings for other women. Can you agree to it?" Ji-dong said, "I agree. Even if you didn't say it, I would never like any other woman." The flaming bar said, "What about that Lan Bao? I can see that she likes you very much. She's also very beautiful and can accompany you in the human world. You can't stay in my Earth Core lake forever." Ji-dong was slightly happy and thought to himself, "Is the flaming bar jealous? Even if she only had the desire to possess him, he would be satisfied. At least it proved that he was in her heart." With a sigh, Ji-dong said, "Bauer is a good girl, but I only treat her as a friend. Because my heart is already full, I don't have any room for her." The flaming bar said softly, "Ji-dong, I'm very happy now." As she said that, she pulled Ji-dong's hand towards the dragon egg. "I know you want to travel the Five Elements continent. I haven't seen the outside world in a long time. When this little fellow hatches, you will have the power to protect me. I will accompany you to travel the continent. Okay?" Hearing the flaming bar's words, Ji-dong felt his mind buzz. An unprecedented happiness filled his heart, and he said, "Flaming bar, do I really have enough power to protect you?" The flaming bar smiled and said, "In your human world, there aren't many powerful spirit masters. When the little fellow hatches in the egg, together with the Eclipse Phoenix, you will be able to use your ultimate skill, the Sun-Moon Yin-Yang world. Under such circumstances, even if you meet an 8-crown Devil Master, you won't have much of a problem protecting yourself." "Ji-dong, Do you know, your improvement even amazes me. I really didn't think that in such a short time, you could actually reach such a level. Not only did you truly fuse the Flame Tyrant King and the Shadow Flame Devil King's ultimate demonic power, you can even use their ultimate demonic power to create your own skills. Right now, you are already on the path to becoming a true powerhouse. With each passing day, your strength will increase a little. Of course, before we leave here, I still need to help you cultivate for a period of time to help you integrate all the various abilities you currently possess into a complete system. When that time comes, the only thing you need to improve is time. Looking at the dragon egg that was like a moon surrounded by stars, Ji Dong recalled what the Flaming Bar had said when he had first arrived here. He said, "Flaming Bar, you used your life lotus seed to exchange for the soaring serpent things, just to hatch this dragon egg. And for me?" Chapter 185. Ji Dong's heart was trembling. When he recalled the pain he felt when the Flaming Bar separated a lotus seed, his heart ached so much that he could not breathe. Moreover, the Flaming Bar did everything for him. It turned out that she had already prepared a magical beast companion for him. Perhaps the Flaming Bar had already planned this from the moment she saw the snow dragon Frost and asked for the dragon egg. There was no doubt that after the Flaming Bar series of nourishment and the nourishment of various treasures, once the dragon egg turned into a leg, it would not be as simple as an ordinary crimson dragon. The Flaming Bar's closed-door training was for him. If it was not because of him, with her strength that could make the heavenly stem holy beast tremble, why would she need to go into closed-door training? Even when she was in closed-door training, she was still thinking about him and quietly sacrificed so much for him. Looking at the emotional look on Ji Dong's face, the Flaming Bar smiled and squeezed his hand. "Fool, don't think so much. In fact, I'm doing everything for myself. If I don't help you become stronger, how can you protect me and leave this place? What about the outside world? Every day in this core world, even if I'm the ruler of this place, I still feel lonely and lonely. You're the only human I know, and only you can make me trust you. If I don't help you, who else can I help?" Letting go of Ji Dong's hand, the Flaming Bar walked in front of the yin-yang boundary of the 5 elements that was condensed from the 5 elements Godstone. With a wave of her right hand, a round milky white light floated out of her palm. Strangely enough, when the yin-yang boundary of the 5 elements that was filled with the oppressive feeling of all attributes came into contact with this layer of white light, it immediately melted into a human-sized door, and its aura did not change at all. The Flaming Bar said, "Ji Dong, come with me." As she spoke, she walked into the yin-yang 5-element boundary. Ji Dong followed behind Raging Flame and walked in. When he truly entered the 5 elements yin-yang world, he was immediately shocked. He discovered that this 5 elements yin-yang world was actually filled with extreme fire elements. From the outside, the black and gold specks of light could be seen, but from the inside, they were actually entities. When they touched his body, they would feel a slight tingling pain, and then they would be absorbed by his body. In just a few breaths, Ji Dong felt that his mana had been filled to the peak. The Flaming Bar asked Ji Dong to come in front of the fire dragon egg and said, "Ji Dong, press your hands on the egg. Slowly release the extreme yang fire with one hand, and slowly release the extreme yin fire with the other. Don't release mana too quickly, and you have to maintain the same speed." Ji Dong did as he was told. When he raised his hands and pressed them on the fire dragon egg, a sense of intimacy filled his heart. It was as if this fire dragon egg was a part of his body. The Flaming Bar took a step forward and arrived behind Ji Dong. She said, "Don't be surprised, this is normal. Do you still remember? There was a time when I would hold your hands every time, and you would feel a stinging pain. That was because I was extracting your blood. When I restored the little guy in this fire dragon egg to its origin, I integrated your blood into it, giving it a bloodline imprint that belonged to you. Therefore, when it hatches, there is no need for any contract to bind it. It will be as close to you as a father and will always be your best partner. From now on, you just have to touch it and start cultivating. Don't stop releasing the ultimate dual flames. I used the 5 elements divine stone and 4 10th rank light and darkness crystal cores to form a magic array that can continuously absorb the mana in the Earth's core lake. Moreover, the mana of the 5 elements divine stone and the crystal cores will be transferred into the dragon egg through your body. Because the dragon egg has your blood imprint, not only is it connected to your bloodline, it will also be affected by your thoughts. Its appearance will also change according to your wishes. If he had a choice, Ji-dong would never want to start cultivating. This was the first time he resisted cultivating ever since he became a demon master. It was for no other reason than the fact that he had just seen the flaming bar. He only hoped that his gaze would linger on the flaming bar for a little longer. Of course, no matter what, Ji-dong would never go against the flaming bar's wishes. Moreover, everything the flaming bar did was for his own good. The flaming bar had been preparing for this dragon egg for a long time. She did not hesitate to endure the pain. She used the lotus seeds of her natal red lotus in exchange for various ingredients and consumed her own mana to nourish the dragon egg. All of this was so that he could have a powerful magical beast as his partner. Even though the flaming bar said that it was all for her own good, how could Ji-dong not understand the flaming bar's intentions? Unknowingly, the flaming bar's position in Ji-dong's heart was slowly changing. He could no longer look up to it like before. The flaming bar quietly retreated and the yin-yang realm of the 5 elements returned to normal. Ji-dong sat cross-legged on the ground and pressed his hands on the dragon egg to start cultivating. From the outside of the yin-yang realm of the 5 elements, it could be clearly seen that he and the dragon egg were currently absorbing a large amount of filtered mana from the yin-yang realm of the 5 elements. The pure mana was nourishing him and the dragon egg at the same time. The flaming bar stood outside the yin-yang realm of the 5 elements and looked at Ji-dong silently. Her gaze was gentle and carried a tinge of satisfaction. What she said to Ji-dong just now was not something that she said on a whim. She had already made up her mind when Ji-dong's life was in danger, and she was ready to save him at all costs. She had already made up her mind at that time. At that time, she felt panic. Ever since she gained consciousness, she had never felt such emotions, even when she was facing the 2 powerful sovereigns. Only this time, when she saw that Ji-dong was about to die at the hands of the enemy, did the flaming bar really panic. It was also at that moment that she realized what kind of position Ji-dong had in her heart. He was no longer just an ordinary human friend. There were many complicated feelings in his heart. Even the flaming bar herself was not entirely sure what choice she would have made if the Thunder Emperor Fury had not appeared in time. Would she have gone to the human world to release her power to save Ji-dong? She knew very well the price that she would have to pay. It was something that she could not bear. However, at that time, she only hoped that Ji-dong could survive. She did not think much about anything else. After Ji-dong was safe, the flaming bar had been watching him every moment. Lon Bauer stayed by Ji-dong's side to take care of him. In the core world, the flaming bar had never left him. When the flaming bar saw Lon Bauer taking care of Ji-dong every day, an emotion that she had never felt before arose in her heart. That emotion was jealousy. Hence, the flaming bar decided that after the battle between the holy and evil ended, she would try her best to help Ji-dong increase his power. Then, she would stay by his side. No matter what he wanted to do, she would accompany him. She wanted to see Ji-dong clearly, and she wanted to see her own heart clearly. The lifespan of humans was limited. The flaming bar naturally knew that. However, she had already decided that she would use her unlimited lifespan to be with Ji-dong, who had a limited lifespan. She did not want to think too much about what would happen in the future. Right now, she only hoped that she could enjoy the beauty of her limited time. Since she could not let go, she could only accept it. It was because she had thought this through that when she met Ji-dong again, the flaming bar stepped down from her pedestal. She truly let go of her heart and began to accept this man who was not considered handsome, but loved her wholeheartedly. As a fire element demon master, it was his greatest fortune to be able to train in a place like the Earth's core lake. Furthermore, Ji-dong had the 5 elements divine stone and the 4 fire element crystal cores by his side, allowing him to unleash the full effect of the fire element in the Earth's core world. He could clearly feel that the huge and pure fire element was constantly cleansing his body. When his body could no longer bear the excess mana, the mana would pass through his hands and into the dragon egg. He had become the bridge between the pure fire element and the dragon egg. Immersed in this wonderful feeling, the passage of time could no longer affect him. His heart gradually calmed down. He no longer needed to feel anything in the outside world. There was no danger here. His body and mind were completely immersed in this state of cultivation. After an unknown period of time, Ji-dong suddenly felt the mana in his body stirring. His body seemed to have started to undergo a wonderful change. The yin-yang fish in his chest slowly rotated, and rays of light continuously burst out. Even the 3-inch tall chaotic fire started to pulse slightly. This sudden feeling woke Ji-dong up from his training. Was he about to break through? Before he started training, his mana had already reached level 49. In this world with such a huge and pure fire element, breaking through to level 50 would not be a problem. However, it was also at this moment that a scorching hot air rushed into his body from the top of his head, forcibly suppressing the feeling of breaking through. The previous trembling of his mana stopped, and everything seemed to return to normal. At this moment, every meridian in Ji-dong's body was filled with almost solid mana. His entire body swelled up, and the pain caused his body to twist slightly. However, he was not an ordinary person after all. His body had been transformed by the blood of the vermilion bird and the blood of the soaring serpent, and had been soaked in dragon's blood. His durability was astonishing. Although the mana in his body had swelled to the limit, there was no way for him to break through the bottleneck to release it. However, he still endured it. Under the surging surge of the dual fire elements in his body, all his meridian channels automatically vibrated according to the method of the soaring serpent's power transformation spell, quietly digesting the impact of the dual fire energies. As his mana continued to increase, Ji-dong also continued to use the power transformation spell to resolve the pain in his body, and thus continued his training. She muttered to herself, "Little Ji-dong, you must endure it." Although the strength of the flying serpent is not considered strong, his strength transformation technique is a magical skill that is comparable to the holy beast skill, and it is also the key to saving your life. Only before your magic power has completely increased can you truly comprehend its essence, and right now is a good opportunity to accumulate strength. If you break through a minute later, your foundation will be even more solid, and if you break through too early, it will only limit your future development. I not only hope that you can become an outstanding talent among humans, but also hope that one day you can reach the same level as me. At that time, perhaps I will be free, and we really might. Ji-dong's eyes revealed a trace of reluctance as he muttered to himself, "Little Ji-dong, you must endure it." Although the strength of the flying serpent is not considered strong, but his strength transformation technique is a magical skill that is comparable to the holy beast skill, and it is also the key to saving your life. When that time comes, perhaps I will be free, and we can really... The same situation repeated itself over and over again. The pain that Ji-dong was enduring increased bit by bit. As a Magus master, when his mana had already reached a bottleneck but was forcefully suppressed to the point that he could not break through, it was an extremely painful thing. Even though Ji-dong's body was extremely tough, and his body's endurance was 100 times that of a normal person, but after being suppressed 5 times, his body still could not endure it any longer. The meridians in Ji-dong's body had already turned into a dual gold and black color, or rather, everything in his body had turned into these two colors. Due to the excessive amount of mana that filled his body, his blood had almost solidified, and even the color of his blood had become the same as his mana. If it was anyone else under such circumstances, they would have died long ago. Only Ji-dong, who possessed the special ability of yin and yang fish, was able to endure it. However, at this moment, he could only passively absorb the energy from the outside world into his body, and was no longer able to activate the circulation of these fire elements. If this continued, and he did not break through, then the final result would only be death. Jidong's skin was constantly flashing with a metallic luster, and the vermilion bird transformation had long been squeezed out by the huge amount of mana. On the surface of his skin, the gold and black colors alternated, and one could even see the meridians under his skin trembling slightly. In front of him, the dragon egg that was being pressed by both hands became even more intense, and every Mageweth shone with a dazzling brilliance. Moreover, along with the changes in the light on Jidong's body, there were also changes in the attributes. And in this situation, Jidong felt that he was about to break through for the sixth time. Can I break through this time? Due to the solidification of mana in his body, Jidong's thoughts had also become a lot slower, but he was sure that if he still could not break through this time, he was afraid that he would really be stuffed to death. Along with the appearance of the breakthrough, the infinitely compressed mana in Jidong's body expanded violently, and every time it surged, his body would tremble. However, just when Jidong thought that he could break through this time, the familiar mana that had restricted him for 5 times appeared again, and forcefully suppressed him for the 6th time, forcefully destroying his feeling of breaking through for the 6th time. However, even under such circumstances, Jidong's heart was still not happy or sad, because he firmly believed that Flaming Bar would not harm him. Since she had decided to do this, there must be a reason. At this moment, a trace of warmth quietly flowed down from the top of Jidong's head and connected with the chaotic fire in his chest. Chapter 186. Jidong could see that the warmth that was injected from his beard was a white stream of air. When it entered his body, Jidong's swelling feeling immediately slowed down. Then, the chaotic flame in his chest instantly rose. The originally 3 inches tall flame directly rose to half a foot and merged with the white stream of air that was injected into his body. Everything in front of him was white. Jidong only felt as if something had been knocked open in the depths of his mind, as if he had been bombarded by a super ultimate skill. A huge roar sounded in every part of his mind, as if his soul had been stripped away at this moment. Terrifying magic rose in the air. Jidong couldn't see the outside world, so he didn't know what it was like at this moment. At this moment, the flaming bar was above his head, his whole body was upside down in the air, one hand pressed on the top of Jidong's head, connecting the two of them. The fiery red color on the flaming bar's body disappeared, completely turning into a pure and warm white. Its whole body was burning with this white and warm sacred flame, and the white stream of air that was injected into Jidong's body was also this flame. Layers of white halos flowed down from the top of Jidong's head, enveloping his whole body. The 5-element yin-yang world was currently trembling violently. Layers of intense golden light and black light were frantically injected into Jidong's body. The magma lake outside surged violently, bringing up tens of feet of magma in this core world, even causing the entire core world to tremble violently. A trace of excess white flowed out from Jidong's palm and was injected into the dragon egg. Bang, 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 bang. The 10th grade light yang fire crystal, the 10th grade light yin fire crystal, the 10th grade dark yang fire crystal, and the 10th grade dark yin fire crystal. These 4 crystal cores that came from the 4 powerful fire magic beasts all shattered at this moment, turning into surging magic that instantly circulated, all of it frantically pouring into Jidong's body. The surface of Jidong's skin fluctuated violently. A red lotus rose up from beneath him and lifted his body up. A soft white halo descended from his body and touched the red lotus before rising again, repeating the process. Jidong only felt that the solid energy in his body was beginning to melt under the effect of this layer of white. It was obvious that the chaos fire that was guiding his mana core to form the chaos fire was the chaos fire that belonged to the flaming bar. However, the chaos fire this time was different from the one he had seen before. According to Jidong's understanding, the flames of chaos were flames that could devour all other types of energy. Once this terrifying existence appeared, it could sweep away all the surrounding magical elements. However, the appearance of the flames of chaos this time did not produce such a situation. After the solid fire elements in his body came into contact with the flames of chaos. His body, which had been compressed to the point of being extremely hard, gradually softened. His meridians, bones, and internal organs also appeared with a layer of faint, warm white. This layer of white quietly and slowly devoured the surrounding solid energy. The huge energy that almost caused Ji Dong's body to swell up actually began the process of fusing with every part of his body. If the energy in the Heaven Jade could be said to have completely harmonized Ji Dong's two lords' ultimate mana, then what the Flaming Bar did this time was to fuse the benefits that Ji Dong had obtained from soaking in the dragon's blood in the beginning, as well as the transformation of Ji Dong's body from the Fire Divine Beast Vermilion Bird and the Fire Divine Beast Soaring Serpent. The Vermilion Bird transformation and the Soaring Serpent transformation were fully displayed at this time, and were constantly changing. The surface of Ji Dong's skin was a brilliant golden red, while the meridians and bones in his body were a deep black. The Vermilion Bird transformation was on the outside, while the Soaring Serpent transformation was on the inside. One was extreme yang, while the other extreme yin. At this moment, both were undergoing strange changes under the control of the white chaotic wave fire that connected from his chest to his brain. It was as if a door had opened in the depths of Ji Dong's soul. When he walked through this door, he was surprised to find that he had already arrived in a white world, and in this world stood that familiar figure. The Flaming Bar was still dressed in a red dress and had a smile on her face, but there was a solemn look in her eyes. She was staring at Ji Dong with a burning gaze. Seeing her, Ji Dong could clearly feel that at this moment, the Flaming Bar seemed to be the center of this white world, and in this world he seemed so insignificant. A light flashed, and in the next moment, Ji Dong had already arrived in front of the Flaming Bar. Looking at him, the Flaming Bar said in a low voice, "Ji Dong, you must remember every word that I'm going to say next. This is very important to you." Ji Dong hurriedly nodded. Although he did not know what was happening to him, he could imagine the great impact this change would have on him. So he quickly focused and listened quietly. At the beginning of chaos, heaven and earth were formed. Chaos transformed into yin and yang. Yang Qi rose to become the sky, and yin Qi sank to become the earth. Yin and yang were in harmony, and heaven and earth flourished together. Only then did the five elements come into existence, and chaos is the origin of everything. At the moment when the five elements were formed, chaos was also divided into five types, which are the fire of chaos, the wood of chaos, the earth of chaos, the metal of chaos, and the water of chaos. These five types of chaos contain yin and yang qi at the same time, and are the most origin of existence. Their chaos is the same, but it is expressed through different attributes of the five elements. The fire of chaos that you and I possess is the origin of all flames, and also the true origin of the Bing Wu primordial yang sacred fire, and the Ding Si dark yin spiritual fire. However, if you want to mobilize chaos, it's not something that can be done with a simple thought. As the origin, chaos only has one special characteristic, and that is creation. Hearing this, Ji Dong's heart suddenly trembled, and he said, "Creation?" The Flaming Bar nodded. Yes, it is creation. At the beginning of chaos, yin and yang separated, and the five elements appeared, and all things were born. Therefore, the meaning of chaos is only creation and not destruction. You must always remember this, or else you will never be able to use the power of chaos. Do you know why you humans have such good comprehension, such high intelligence, and such great talent? Why do magical beasts need to cultivate for thousands of years to obtain these abilities, but only need a few decades for you humans? Ji Dong's heart skipped a beat. Could it be because of chaos? The Flaming Bar shook her head and said, "No, it's because of creation. You humans have the creativity that is compatible with chaos. Therefore, you have a talent that all things in this world envy. The origin of human creativity is the soul. Therefore, among all living things, the existence closest to chaos is the human soul." Ji Dong looked at the Flaming Bar and quickly absorbed and digested every word that she said. Of course, He knew that what the flaming bar said was very important to him, and he did not dare to be careless. The flaming bar continued. It's because the human soul is similar to chaos in nature. Therefore, the flame of chaos that you and I possess can also be called the flame of the soul. In order to truly mobilize the flame of chaos, you must first be able to mobilize the energy of your soul. Ji-dong asked, "Then how do I mobilize the energy of my soul?" The flaming bar said, "Actually, you've already done it. No one knows how to cultivate the soul. Only talent can determine how strong a person's soul can be. Your talent is actually not that great, but you have a persistence that ordinary people don't have. From you, I've vaguely grasped the method of cultivating the soul, but this method is only suitable for you alone. Is this persistence?" Ji-dong said as if he had understood something. The flaming bar nodded and said with certainty, "It is persistence. No matter what you face, as long as you are willing, you can immerse yourself in it. Every time you face a difficulty and persist, your soul will be baptized and tempered. From the beginning when you first cultivated mana, to breaking through the shackles and obtaining the yin and yang flames, and the test when soaring serpent taught you skills, and everything you experienced after that, it was constantly tempering your soul. On the holy evil island, when you truly faced a life or death crisis, you finally activated the mysteries of the soul. Otherwise, do you think that just relying on the trace of chaos in the heaven jade would allow you to completely fuse the dual ultimate flames? From that moment on, you also gain the ability to cultivate the flame of the soul. You have to continue your persistence, and your flame of the soul will continue to grow stronger. Now, I'm using my own flame of chaos as a guide to fuse your flame of the chaos with your own soul, forming the real flame of the soul. From now on, as long as the flame of the soul exists, even if your body is destroyed, your will not disappear. All of your abilities will revolve around the flame of the soul and evolve. When the day comes that you can transform the flame of the soul into a real flame and grasp it, then you will have the opportunity to break through the yin-yang crown. Ji-dong, the flame of the soul, has another name. It is called the foundation of God. Ji-dong's heart shook violently. Flaming bar, you're saying that if I cultivate the flame of the soul, I have the chance to become a god? Then can you tell me, what is a god? Does a god really exist? Flaming bar said with certainty, a god is a kind of existence and also a realm. When you reach the realm of a god, you will join the group of people who have reached that realm. In our world, there is no god who created the world, only the God who created the world. Without a God who created the world, even a god can be killed. However, they have abilities that ordinary people can't imagine. If you want, you can also call them humans, people of another realm. Ji-dong suddenly understood, so that's how it is. A god is still a human after all. A strange light flashed in Flaming Bar's eyes. From a certain point of view, it's like this. Connecting your soul with the flame of chaos is a long process. During this process, you must use your determination to feel every change. When this process is completed, it will be the moment you make a breakthrough. From then on, you will truly have the foundation of a god, the strength of a powerhouse. Whether it's for yourself or to protect me when we reach the human world, you must not continue to be stubborn. Can you do it? Ji-dong nodded his head firmly. I can, I will definitely do it. Flaming Bar smiled. Very well, feel it with your heart. I believe that you will definitely be able to do it. In the white world, white light rose, and everything in the surroundings started to become blurry. The flaming bar in front of Ji-dong turned into the same white light and disappeared quietly. In the depths of his soul, his thoughts spread, and Ji-dong's consciousness completely returned to the inside of his body. The white flame was only as thick as a strand of hair, but it was connected to the Magic Master's most important soul and mana source. With Flaming Bar's explanation and reminder, Ji-dong did not waste any time. He concentrated and included everything in his mind, and carefully felt every change in his body at this moment. Layers of weak white light gradually emitted from the hair-thin flame of chaos and spread to every part of his body. When the mana in Ji Dong's body came into contact with this layer of white, it quietly merged with it, and this trace of white was also slowly becoming stronger. Immersed in his thoughts, all Ji Dong could do at this moment was to do his best to feel the changes in this chaos, and to feel the undulations after his soul and the flame of chaos were connected. That feeling was indescribable. He only felt that the hair-thin flame of chaos was emitting an aura of creation, and what it was creating was Ji Dong's current body. From the core of his internal organs, brain, to the bones, meridians, muscles, and skin, every part of Ji Dong's body seemed to have gone through the process of being melted and reforged. Wherever the white light passed, there were subtle changes. The accumulation of his many years of cultivation also quietly merged with the white light at this moment. The most peculiar thing was that the black and gold yin-yang fish on Ji Dong's chest had already turned into the same black and white color as the Tai Chi diagram from his previous life. As it quietly rotated, it emitted a mysterious light. His consciousness gradually became immersed, and when he habitually brought his thoughts into the understanding of the flame of chaos, time passed quickly in the outside world. When Yin and Yang magician cultivated to the 5th level, which was when he broke through to the 5th crown, his body would undergo a fundamental change. This was different from breaking through to the 6th crown. Almost any magician who broke through to the 4th crown could reach the level of the 5th crown with hard work. This was because the 5th crown was a kind of accumulation of elements. After many years of cultivation, the understanding and feeling of the elements in the outside world, as well as the cultivation of the mana in the body, the magician's body would undergo a fundamental change. Once he broke through to the 5th crown, his body would resonate with the elements and form an elemental body. This so-called elemental body, of course, did not mean that the magician's body was exactly the same as the mana elements, but described a realm where the magician's body resonated with the elements. And the change that was happening to Ji Dong was in the true meaning of the process of forming an elemental body. Chapter 187. After many years of cultivation, the changes in the origin of chaos, and the flaming bar's various improvements, Ji Dong's flame of chaos had finally been completely stimulated. Most importantly, he had a guide that no other magician could have, and that was the flaming bar. The flaming bar did not hesitate to use his own flame of chaos to help Ji Dong activate the flame of chaos and completely improve his body. This seemingly simple breakthrough to the 5th crown had actually become the formation of the elemental body in the truest sense. Moreover, the elemental body that Ji Dong had formed could not simply be called the dual fire elemental body, but the chaotic fire elemental body. This was also the true foundation of God that the flaming bar had mentioned. Creation, not destruction. Just this simple sentence revealed the mystery of chaos. In this long period of time, the chaos transformation in Ji Dong's body was precisely creation, using chaos to create chaos. The rising flame of chaos blended with each other, and Ji Dong's body was undergoing the most fundamental transformation bit by bit. All the changes in his body had turned into the white of the origin of chaos. The inner armor of the vermilion bird transformation had disappeared, and the black of the flying serpent transformation had also disappeared. All that was left was a layer of milky white light that was as lustrous as milk surrounding Ji Dong's body. The original wings of the vermilion bird transformation were completely formed from phoenix feathers that had a metallic texture, as if they had been stripped from his body. Although they were still white at this time, they were no longer a white that would change color according to the changes in mana, but a white that would never change. Every feather seemed to be carved out of mutton-fat white jade, and when the huge wings spread out, they exuded a faint holy aura. Ji Dong's black hair became even more sparkling and translucent, immersed in the white. All the mana in his body had been refined into his body, and only the black and white yin-yang fishes were still slowly rotating. Ji Dong was completely unaware of his own changes. His entire mind was immersed in comprehending the primal chaos. Only by truly comprehending it would he be able to control the primal chaos in his own soul fire. The chaos space was a magical world. Ji Dong's soul could not extricate itself from it when he was truly immersed in it. Every time he felt the changes, his understanding would increase. Vaguely, behind him, two clusters of flames, one black and one white, quietly rose and spiraled. They were like the yin and yang qi that was formed when the chaos space was first opened, surrounding his body. 10 explosions resounded in the core world at the same time. The 10 five elements divine stones finally lost all their energy and shattered, just like the 4 crystal cores had lost all their energy and turned into specks of light, disappearing into the deepest layer of the core world. Flaming Bar, who had always been above Ji Dong's head, quietly flipped over and landed on the ground. The 5 elements yin-yang boundary had already disappeared along with the disappearance of the 5 elements divine stones. Flaming Bar staggered slightly. Her face seemed a little pale, but this paleness only lasted for a moment before returning to normal. At this moment, Ji Dong and the dragon egg in front of him were enveloped by the surging black and white yin and yang qi, rising into the sky. Every change was filled with strange creation characteristics. A satisfied smile appeared on her pretty face. Seeing the formation of the black and white qi, Flaming Bar knew that her plan had finally succeeded. Ji Dong did not disappoint her. His persistence had finally become the first way to cultivate the soul in history. Even the gods who had the ability to control the soul did not have this kind of method. They were born with the ability to control the soul, but Ji Dong's ability to control the soul was obtained through his own persistence and training. If he could become a god one day, perhaps he would really surpass all the other gods. One by one, white snake blades appeared in midair. There were a total of 81 of them. They were the snake sloughs that Flaming Bar had obtained from the soaring serpent. The soaring serpent had evolved 81 times over the past millions of years. The yin attribute in these snake sloughs had long been refined by Flaming Bar. What was left was the purest fire element. Every snake slough was like a solid fire element, containing an unparalleled amount of magic. They were all priceless treasures. If it was not for the possibility of breaking through to the next realm, the soaring serpent would never have been willing to take them out. The 81 snake sloughs quietly shattered in the air, turning into countless white spots of light. They once again condensed into a huge light shield, enveloping Ji Dong and the dragon egg, replacing the 5 elements yin-yang boundary for them to absorb. After doing this, Flaming Bar took a deep breath. Her eyes revealed a strong light. Ji Dong, I have done everything I can for you. How far you can go in the future, whether we are really fated, it all depends on you. I believe you will not let me down. Sitting down cross-legged, Flaming Bar finally revealed a tired expression. She closed her eyes, and a huge red lotus rose from her body, wrapping around her flawless body. For years later, Easternwood Empire. The bright and beautiful sun shone on the earth, emitting its gentle warmth. It was almost noon, and the air exuded a dry and refreshing smell. The official roads of the Easternwood Empire were very wide. Although among the 5 great empires of the 5 elements mainland, the Easternwood Empire was relatively weak, but the many years of peace had made this country full of vitality very rich. Among the 5 great empires of the mainland, there was no doubt that the Easternwood Empire had the most beautiful scenery. It also had the most tourist attractions. Anyone from any country would first think of the Easternwood Empire when it came to touring, because not only did it have a suitable temperature, it also had all kinds of enchanting scenery. The Easternwood Empire itself occupied 5 of the 10 largest forests in the mainland. Although it did not have a large area of lakes and rivers like the Northern Water Empire, it had many clear springs and wetlands. The aristocrats of various countries liked to vacation here when they were free. A man and a woman were walking slowly on the official road. Looking at their leisurely appearance, it did not seem like they were in a hurry at all. The young man was half a head taller than the young lady, and looked to be in his 20s. He had broad shoulders and a head of black hair draped over his shoulders. Although he was not considered handsome, he had an indescribable temperament. The simple gray clothes he wore could not hide his lofty character, especially his deep black eyes. It was hard to forget just by looking at them. The most peculiar thing was that his bronze-colored skin seemed to emit a layer of white luster when the sun shone on it, causing people to mistakenly think that their eyes were playing tricks on them. The woman beside him was wearing a long white dress, also made of ordinary cotton. It was spotless and covered almost every inch of skin below her neck. Her long, wavy red hair was extremely eye-catching, and it extended all the way to her knees, covering her wonderful curves from behind. On her head was an extremely exquisite bamboo hat weaved from white bamboo silk, and a foot of white gauze hung down, covering her face. From their figures and temperament, this man and woman did not look like ordinary passers-by. The most peculiar thing was that the young man and the woman had the same bright silver chain wrapped around their waists. Because each of their waists had been wrapped around several times, the length of the silver chain could not be seen. The white-clothed woman did not have an inch of her skin exposed to the air. Even her hands were covered by her long sleeves. One of the hands of the gray-clothed youth was in one of her sleeves, as if he was holding her hand. Flaming Bar, I really hope that this road will never come to an end, the young man in gray said with a smile. At the same time, he clenched his hand. Holding that soft, jade-like palm, there was only satisfaction in his heart. This man and woman were Ji-dong and the Flaming Bar. After 4 years, Ji-dong seemed to have matured a bit. His fully developed body was even more imposing, and every movement he made exuded a special temperament. Feeling the heat from Ji-dong's palm, the Flaming Bar smiled and said, "If you wish, then it's good that we continue like this. With every step, we can see a different scenery. Compared to the dullness of the core world, your human world is much richer." Ji-dong chuckled and said, "All right, then let's continue like this." The Flaming Bar said, "Time passes so quickly. In the blink of an eye, for years have passed. Even I have to envy you humans' comprehension ability. When I first comprehended the mysteries of the soul fire, I used a full 3,000 years. Even so, I was still the first person in the core world. But you only used a short 4 years." Ji-dong smiled and said, "I only succeeded with your help. Without you, let alone 4 years, even if I had 4,000 years, I might not have been able to comprehend the mysteries of the soul fire. It's a pity that I still couldn't help the dragon egg hatch." To Ji-dong, 4 years in the core world was not a long time. He was immersed in comprehending the mysteries of the soul fire. To him, these 4 years were like a blink of an eye. When he woke up from his cultivation, he found that the dragon egg still had not hatched. However, there was only a sliver of time left before it hatched. Even a Flaming Bar couldn't tell when the dragon egg would hatch. The Flaming Bar said, "You don't have to worry about the dragon egg. I can feel the changes in the core all the time. Once it hatches, we'll rush back immediately. I'm afraid that it will take a while for the frozen woman to melt. There's a trace of chaos fluctuation in the ice that seals her. If I'm not wrong, that should be the aura of the chaos water. I've already left a trace of the chaos flame on the ice. Coupled with the heat from the core magma, it should be able to melt." After Ji-dong comprehended the soul fire, he had a brief discussion with the Flaming Bar. They decided not to wait for the dragon egg to hatch and left the core world. After all, there was only a year left until the next battle between the holy and evil. Ji-dong didn't want to waste any more time on cultivation. He only hoped to be with the Flaming Bar. Even if it was just a stroll, he would be very satisfied. Before he left, he mentioned that he wanted to bury the frozen woman. However, when the Flaming Bar saw the ice, he was shocked. "The Flaming Bar, the frozen woman has been sealed for at least 100 years, or even 1,000 years. Is she really still alive?" At this time, Ji-dong still had some doubts in his heart. After the Flaming Bar saw the ice, he told him that the golden armored woman was still alive. The Flaming Bar nodded and said, "Don't forget, I told you that the characteristics of the chaos is to create, not to destroy. If that is really the chaos water, I can be sure that the golden armored woman is not dead. On the holy evil island, only the water saint beast of the central 5th floor can use the chaos water. She should have broken into the water saint beast territory and then was frozen by it. As for why she appeared on the mountain where you saw her, I don't know. Ji Dong said, if she is really not dead, when she comes back to life, everything will naturally be revealed. The flaming bar smiled indifferently and said, although the chaos water will not kill her, I don't know how long she has been sealed in ice. I'm afraid that her body will be affected to a certain extent. I just hope that the effect is not too great. Ji Dong, you must study the God extinguishing strike recorded in the Jade of Heaven. In these 4 years, you have been able to barely control the fire of the soul, but these 4 years have also been delayed. You have not been able to better understand the various abilities, the 5 elements formation, the God extinguishing strike, and the book given to you by the flying serpent. These are all things that you need to work hard on in the next year. Ji Dong laughed and said, I will. In order to protect you, I will not slack off for a moment. Flaming bar, is the God extinguishing strike really that magical? Is it really, as recorded, able to extinguish gods? The flaming bar's eyes narrowed, and he grasped Ji Dong's hand, saying, Ji Dong, I do not know how this skill was passed down to the human realm, but I'm sure that if you can really cultivate the God extinguishing strike to the 9th level, it is absolutely possible to extinguish gods. Hearing the flaming bar's words, Ji Dong's eyes widened. According to the memory imprint left behind by the Jade of Heaven, the God extinguishing strike was divided into 9 levels. He had already cultivated the 1st level, but only those who had truly cultivated it would know how difficult it was to cultivate this seemingly useless skill. The God extinguishing strike was not a direct attack, but a complete internal cultivation. The principle was very simple. It was to instantly condense all the mana in one's body into a single point and then release it. The mana was completely contained within the body, without any form of expansion or energy. Only when the mana came into contact with the enemy's body would the effect be displayed. This seemed like a simple principle, but it wasn't so simple when it came to actual cultivation. How difficult was it to condense one's mana into a single point? According to the cultivation method of the God extinguishing strike, the attack power of the God extinguishing strike would double with every level. In other words, if Ji Dong cultivated the 1st level of the God extinguishing strike, when he attacked his opponent, the power of the God extinguishing strike will be double the power of his condensed mana. Chapter 188. Every time the deity slaying strike was upgraded, its attack power would be doubled. If he mastered the 9th level of the deity's slaying strike, then when he attacked his opponent, the power of the deity's slaying strike when it came into contact with his opponent's body would be doubled. That was a reason why Ji Dong felt that this skill was useless. Almost all of his magic skills had the same effect, not to mention the powerful sure kill skills, such as the sun, all, the ice of burning flames, and the sun, moon, yin-yang world. These skills could instantly increase the explosive power of his magic power by several times. The deity slaying strike only doubled, which was nothing. At most, it was on par with the standard skills, such as the devouring sun and the claw of the dark moon. However, after Flaming Bar gave Ji Dong a simple analysis, he finally understood the true meaning of the deity slaying strike. Although the conditions for practicing and executing the deity slaying strike were extremely harsh, and the 1st level of the deity slaying strike was nothing, the most important thing was that, according to the records of the deity slaying strike, the consumption of magic power was very small, and it could be withdrawn as soon as it was released. If used properly, it could be mixed with any other skills. In other words, if he used other skills to attack his opponent, after the 1st part of the attack was completed and Ji Dong's hand could touch his opponent's body, then the 2nd part of the deity slaying strike would burst forth with power. It seemed that his magic power had only doubled under the amplification. However, Raging Flame's words reminded Ji Dong that the doubling of the amplification was not on the magic skills that Ji Dong had released, but on the explosive power of the magic power that had been injected into the opponent's body, bursting forth from the inside out. Moreover, the power of the deity slaying strike would continue to increase as it was upgraded. When it was upgraded to the 3rd level, it would be equivalent to the power of a normal sure kill skill. If it could be upgraded to the 6th level, it would be comparable to a super sure kill skill. If a super sure kill skill directly exploded in the opponent's body, who could withstand such an attack? Therefore, with the support of Flaming Bar, Jidong had already decided to start practicing this skill. With the understanding of the soul fire, his mental strength increased exponentially, and his strong control over magic power, Jidong could already complete the first level of the deity slaying strike in a short period of time. However, if he wanted to cultivate to the second level, it would not be done overnight. The difficulty of practicing the deity's slaying strike was just like its effect, it was also compounded. Seeing that Jidong was deep in thought, Flaming Bar said, "There is no hurry. You have just finished practicing for 4 years. It is time to relax." Jidong nodded and said, "Flaming Bar, the Easternwood Empire is famous for its tourism. We are going to the Middle Earth Empire to pay our respects to my parents." I looked at the map, and next, we will pass through the Forest of Life. I heard from Senior Brother Fury that there is a special tribe living in the Forest of Life in the Easternwood Empire. They are called Forest Demons, and they are a hybrid between humans and magical beasts. They have the appearance of humans, but have green skin. They only live in the Forest of Life in the Easternwood Empire. Senior Brother said that the Forest Demons brew a wine called the Source of Life, which is very good. Since we're going to pass through the Forest of Life, why not go and take a look? The Flaming Bar smiled and said, "All right, let's go take a look. How far is the Forest of Life from here?" Jidong took out the map from the vermilion bird bracelet and looked at it, then said, "We're not far away. In another 50 li or so, we'll enter the Forest of Life." The Forest of Life is the third largest forest in the continent. It's also the forest with the most types of plants. What's strange is that there are very few magical beasts here. It's very suitable for all kinds of weak creatures to live in. Because of this, this forest is filled with surging vitality. It's very magical. However, I heard from my senior brother that the Forest Demon's Life Source wine is extremely precious. A small bottle can be sold for tens of thousands of gold coins. It's said that it has the effect of prolonging one's life. I don't have much money on me, but I have some crystal cores from the Holy Evil battlefield. I want to see if I can exchange them for some. The Flaming Bar said, "There's no need to force it. It's good to feel some life energy. Wood begets fire. In the forest, our fire attribute benefits is second only to the wood attribute. Walking in the forest is beneficial to our cultivation, especially this kind of forest full of vitality." Jidong said in his heart, "As long as I can be with you, no matter where I go, I'm willing." The Flaming Bar letting him hold hands was already a great surprise for Jidong. He didn't have too many expectations. He just wanted to see her every day, mix wine for her, and stroll with her. His heart was already satisfied. The silver chain tied around their waists was bought by Jidong at a high price. It was made of deep-sea heavy silver. It was very strong. The Flaming Bar couldn't use any of its abilities in the human world. He used the silver chain to tie himself to the Flaming Bar. If there was any danger, he would be able to react at the first moment to protect the Flaming Bar. Of course, for the current Jidong, this was just a precautionary measure. With his current strength, even if he met a 7-crown heavenly master magician, he would still be able to put up a fight. As the two of them were talking, they suddenly felt a slight tremor on the ground at the same time. On the wide official road, the bustling crowd also seemed to feel this tremor. They looked at each other blankly, not knowing what was going on. The tremors gradually became more and more intense. It gradually turned into a loud roar. There was no doubt that a large group of people was approaching. With the Flaming Bar around, Jidong became extra careful in everything he did. He quickly pulled the Flaming Bar to the side of the road. His body tilted slightly, blocking in front of her. These small actions were done naturally by Jidong. The Flaming Bar stood behind him. Even though Jidong's strength was worlds apart from hers, at this moment, looking at the broad shoulders in front of her, she couldn't help but feel a sense of security and warmth in her heart. Is this the dependence of humans? The Flaming Bar asked herself in her heart, looking at Jidong's increasingly tall figure. Her eyes hidden behind the veil could not help but become a little dazed. Although Jidong had never done anything improper to her, every time she drank the wine he made and looked at his burning gaze, the Flaming Bar felt as if her heart was melting. The fine wine Jidong made seemed to have a strange magic. It was this magic that was subtly changing her originally disdainful heart. Amidst the rumbling, they could see a cloud of dust rolling towards them from afar, quickly approaching them. Looking at the thick cloud of dust, Ji-dong could not help but frown slightly. He waved his right hand. A layer of faint golden light enveloped himself and the flaming bar. The golden light was not strong. Under the sunlight, if one did not look carefully, they would not be able to see it. However, this golden light was condensed from the Singwu primordial Yang's sacred fire, not to mention the flying dust. Even if a sharp arrow came into contact with it, it would quickly melt. Soon, the large group of people had already rushed over. With Ji-dong's sharp eyesight, he could clearly see that there were at least 2,000 people in this group, all riding tall and strong horses. The hundreds of riders at the front were all devil masters, especially the few people at the front. Their strength even surprised him. These people were all wearing armor, and the demon masters were wearing all kinds of armor. Their clothes were not neat, and it was obvious that they were not part of the army. However, when the horses under them galloped, they were neat and uniform, and it was obvious that they had undergone strict training. Before the troops arrived, there was already a strong, murderous aura coming from them. The only thing they had in common was that they all had an armband on their right arm. The armband shone with a golden light, and there was a golden eagle embroidered on it, spreading its wings and soaring. The other parts of the armband were all intersecting white and blue lines. The momentum of 2,000 war horses galloping was extremely shocking. In the blink of an eye, they had already roared past Ji-dong, and the flaming bar, dust, and smoke were scattered, bringing a yellow mist on both sides of the official road. However, none of the passers-by dared to complain. They didn't even dare to look up until the group of more than 2,000 people galloped past. Only then did some people curse in a low voice. After the dust and smoke dispersed, the pale golden light on Ji-dong's body also dissipated. After understanding the mysteries of the flame of the soul, his control over his fire magic could be said to be perfect. Not a single speck of dust could enter the Yang flame shield. With a doubtful look in his eyes, Ji-dong said, "I don't know who these people are. How dare they be so arrogant? There are as many as 2,000 people, and there are more than 100 devil masters. The number of warriors is not much, but these 100 devil masters are equivalent to all the devil masters in a main city, and there seems to be a few of them with a strength of more than 6 crowns. The Easternwood Empire is considered one of the weaker empires, but we can actually see such a big force on the official road." The flaming bar didn't say anything. She hadn't been out in the outside world for many years. How could she possibly know something that even Ji-dong didn't know? The Golden Eagle Merchant Guild is getting more and more out of hand. Relying on the protection of Prince Tianlu, they don't even treat us commoners as human beings, running wildly on the official road with such great fanfare. What if someone dies? Just as Ji-dong was feeling doubtful, his sensitive hearing caught the complaint of a middle-aged man walking on the road not far away. Pulling the flaming bar along, Ji-dong walked up to him and said, "Hello, uncle. I heard you mention something about the Golden Eagle Merchant Guild. What's going on?" When the middle-aged man heard Ji-dong's question, a look of vigilance appeared on his face. "What Golden Eagle Merchant Guild? I didn't say anything. I still have to hurry," he said as he turned to leave. With a flick of his wrist, a gold coin appeared in Ji-dong's palm. "Uncle, I don't have any other intentions. I just want to know what kind of people are so arrogant, daring to run so brazenly on the official road, and they don't even look like soldiers of the government." Although money wasn't omnipotent, there were many times when it had an extremely good effect. The middle-aged man received the gold coin, and his expression immediately became much better. Looking around to make sure there weren't any passers-by paying attention to them, he lowered his voice and said, "The Golden Eagle Merchant Guild is amazing. From the looks of it, you're not from our Eastwood Empire, right? In our Eastwood Empire, the Golden Eagle Merchant Guild is the largest merchant guild, and their backer is the current emperor's younger brother, Prince Tianlu. Relying on Prince Tianlu's protection, they have done many outrageous things. They specialize in the business of the nobles, and they bully us commoners. This time, they've mobilized so many people, and it doesn't seem like they're protecting some goods, so it's definitely not something good. These bastards are even scarier than bandits, plundering by force, and there's no way to reason with them. This world may seem peaceful, but the lives of us commoners are getting harder and harder. Hearing the word nobles, Ji Dong subconsciously furrowed his brows. He could still clearly remember how Yun Tianji was persecuted by the nobles. If he hadn't met Ji Dong, he would have already turned into a pile of bones. It seemed that this phenomenon wasn't limited to just one country, but every empire. After bidding farewell to the middle-aged man, Ji Dong and the flaming bar continued their journey. Although he was extremely dissatisfied with the social phenomenon, Ji Dong had the flaming bar to keep him company, so he didn't think too much about it. There was always an end to the road. After enjoying the tranquility of the flaming bar, they arrived in front of a vast forest after 4 hours. The official road bypassed the forest, and the greenery in front of them gave them a shocking feeling. It was an extremely vibrant green that was filled with surging vitality. Even before entering the forest, Ji Dong couldn't help but take in deep breaths of life. Just like what the flaming bar had said, fire element magicians could also obtain great benefits in the forest. However, Ji Dong's brows quickly furrowed. This was because he saw a large number of people tied to the trees at the periphery of the forest, and there were close to 100 people watching over them. From the armbands of these people, it could be seen that they were from the Golden Eagle Chamber of Commerce. Furthermore, the periphery of the forest was a mess, and the vegetation was heavily trampled. It was obvious that a large group of people had entered the forest. The Golden Eagle Chamber of Commerce's target was the Forest of Life. So what were they doing in the forest? Naturally, the flaming bar saw the doubt in Ji Dong's eyes. He smiled and said, "Let's go in and take a look." Ji Dong shook his head and said, "Forget it. Let's take the official road." He had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. Even though the Golden Eagle Chamber of Commerce had many experts, they were nothing in his eyes. However, he had the flaming bar with him now. In order to protect the flaming bar, he would rather give up his curiosity. The flaming bar held onto Ji Dong's hand and said, "Ji Dong, I don't want to see you lose your heart because of me. Even though I can't use my mana, I'm not that weak. Since we're traveling, we'll naturally encounter all sorts of things. These are your experiences. Let's go." With that, the flaming bar held onto Ji Dong's hand and walked towards the Forest of Life. At this moment, a discordant voice came from the side. "Stop! The Golden Eagle Chamber of Commerce is handling matters. Unrelated people, please leave." More than 10 strong men wearing the armbands of the Golden Eagle Chamber of Commerce rushed over and blocked the path of Ji Dong and the flaming bar. Even though there were no mana fluctuations coming from their bodies, they still looked fierce.